Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to some glorious Dota 2 action, which we're all definitely excited for. In the Veeam League, we have ourselves come back up versus Veeam Binging and Relax.
Radiant's turn to pick. Witch Doctor.
And we'll start this game off with a little bit of an introduction. We are in Dota 2, which is of course a 5 versus 5 game.
It is Dire's ban. Radiant's turn to ban.
That primarily consists of taking down the enemy's ancient, the big building all the way in the back, and well, every player has to pick up their character that they want to play with, their hero, respectively. We have ourselves the Beastmaster Bane pick up for comeback up. The way you normally play this game is you have 3 different lanes. You need a mid laner, an off laner, a safe laner, and they're usually 2 support players, which is the 4 position and the 5 position.
Seconds.
And what they do, they just support. 5 position usually is the one that buys all the wards and all the support items. The 4 position is normally the playmaker, the one that walks around the map and does tries to do most of the work.
Turn to pick. Dire must choose.
And that's pretty much what you're looking for on both these teams. We do have a couple of pickups being made. Normally, what tends to be the case is you tend to pick up your safe laners, your hard carries, the cores as your last heroes. And so you would be picking those up all the way in the end, which should be the case in this game as well.
5 seconds remain.
Considering there hasn't been a normal safe laner being secured yet. Bane is a very good 5 position support, for instance, for comeback up. But there we have the first safe lane core. Juggernaut is a hero that does a lot of damage and can be very powerful in the late game. Does lane superbly well with stunning heroes. Witch Doctor and Shadow Shaman, both stunning heroes, both support heroes normally. And they do tend to have the capabilities of being very useful in a lane with the Juggernaut. On the other side, the Beastmaster pickup first pick is an interesting choice. Because the thing is with Beastmaster that you have to be very careful with in this current version of Dota 2 is that it tends to be incredibly powerful. So you have to be very careful when you're playing against it. Some people might even consider it broken with how strong it is these days.
Dire's turn to ban.
So that's definitely a thing that you need to be very wary of if you are the side of VBR. Because, for instance, Juggernaut's a very good hero. It's a super strong hero. It does get countered by a couple of tools that comeback up have. So there's a mechanic in the game that's called Spell Immune that blocks most of the spells in the game. But there are some spells that pierce through it. Juggernaut does a spin. Once he does that spin, he is spell immune. So he is not targetable by a lot of spells. However, he is up against 4 heroes that coincidentally all have spell piercing effects. Beastmaster has his roar, which stuns the target, pierces pierces magic immune. Bane, his ulti does that as well. The Slardar has multiple spells that does it. He has a passive bash where every 4th hit that he does automatically stuns, which is very good in the laning stage against a Juggernaut. And the Spirit Breaker also has a stun that this is in general not the greatest Juggernaut game you will ever see.
Choose Dire's turn to pick.
Storm Spirit.
And they're going to finish it off with a Storm Spirit pickup. On one side with the Queen of Pain on the other. Storm Spirit, what Come Back Up have is a very mobile lineup that can go everywhere on the map. But they did not pick up a safe, quote-unquote, normal safe laner. It might be a Slardar in the safe lane with the Beastmaster off lane. They tend to be able to swap lanes around. With on the Veeam VBR side, they went for the Queen of Pain last pick mid. Is also a very elusive hero. Does have some problems with being hunted, because what she does have is a blink, a mobility spell to try and get out of harm's way. But she could be put in a very awkward position. We'll quickly go over the rosters of both teams in a second right now, just to see who we've got up in this game. We've got on the side of VBR, as you can see, Dandy, Rokanu, sorry, W Master, Nerubian, and S44, which is going to be the team that is on the, if I'm not mistaken, Dire side. And the Dire side means that they are in the top right of the map. And the other team that they're up against will be... Come Back Up. So that is Iraq Lobster, Breeze. A name that Vovojki, Prinesi, Soft Switch, and Valentine on their team that we will be taking on this battle. They start off
sympathies.
with a nice little move into the enemy's jungle, but Rokanu, I don't know why I keep saying Rokuna. But Rokanu spots him out first, and what you do in this game, there are runes that spawn at certain intervals. In the beginning of the game, there are bounty runes that spawn in 4 different locations. They spawn there, and then 2 in the river position. So at the start of the game, what you tend to do is you get aggressive, you try to grab the bounty runes, and because bounty runes, they give you bounty, as the name suggests. Your entire team, everyone in your team gets 40 gold per bounty rune that you pick up. So their entire lineup gets 80 gold to start the game off with. We have ourselves a Spearbreaker with a Quelling Blade. Okay, they are swapping lanes, or at least playing with a safe lane Storm Spirit. That's a little bit of a surprise. You don't see that too often. The Bane being the 5 position, very hard to deal with. It's probably one of the strongest safe lane supports, aka solid defenders in the game. In the mid matchup, it's going to be the Beastmaster versus the Queen of Pain. And the version of Beastmaster that we have in the game currently is a hero that spams Wild Axes, tries to get an item called an Aghanim Scepter. An Aghanim Scepter is a buffing tool for a lot of heroes that just buffs certain spells. In his case, it removes the cooldown on Wild Axes. And what makes that so incredibly dangerous on a hero like Beastmaster is Wild Axes does increased damage per axe that hits an enemy. And that's a stacking debuff. So you take 6% more damage per stack. If you constantly throw out whirling axes, so you throw it out 5 times, you connect both the axes, because he throws out 2 at the same time, onto the enemy. That's going to do, in total, 10 times 6, aka, or, well, at max level I think it's 12%. 10 times 12 is 120% more damage. At one point, that just snowballs out of control, and it does way too much damage to handle for most players. In the top lane at the moment, you've got the Spearbreaker and the Slardar. This is a very dangerous lane to play up against, the Shadow Shaman Juggernaut, but they are playing with 2 very tanky heroes in that top lane. So they should normally be able to reasonably withstand a Shackle, which is a spell that holds you in place, in combination with the spin, because the Blade Fury spin from Juggernaut does a lot of damage.
Tonight,
Now at the 2 and the 4 minute intervals in the game, water runes will spawn in the lane, which gives you a little bit of regen. You can buy a bottle, which is an item that has a regen function. You can use it and then you can regain some health and mana from it. And you can fill it with bottles so that you, every single time you take a sip from it, aka you use the rune in the lane, you get a full, I think 2 charges of the bottle, unless it's a lane rune, which there's a difference between the runes you see now and the runes that will spawn at the 6 minute intervals. Because at the 6 minute intervals, you'll actually have some nice little addition, which is you've got a couple of runes spawning. And those will spawn every 2 minutes in either of the 2 spots in the lane. Okay, top lane. This is looking like first blood. It is going to be secured by the Juggernaut. And there's the right clicks onto the Spirit Breaker. Does pretty much get himself into trouble. And another right click comes out to double kill secured for VBR in the top lane. To start the game off with. A great start there for the Dire side. Dire is, well, as you can see on the map, well, not really. It doesn't help that I have a certain skin for the map. Normally you would see on the Dire side of the map, everything is like, oh, you can see it's still a little bit. It's like darker, it's grayer, it's redder. Like everything is on the verge of dying. Whereas the Radiant, as the name suggests, it's very flourishing, very happy. Everything is green. But something that is problematic for the Queen of Pain right now is the mid lane matchup, because it's not necessarily a hero that is very well optimized against a strength hero like a Beastmaster that also does a lot of damage. And in the bottom lane, the Storm Spirit is farming up just nicely, having a pretty decent time. You don't see a lot of Storm Spirits in the safe lane these days. It normally tends to be a mid laner. The reason for that is because of the experience that the hero wants to have. He has a very good ulti, which he uses mana to zip around the map, which also does damage on the impact zone where you land, but it can cost a lot of mana. So the later you go into the game, the stronger the hero becomes, because he has a bigger mana pool, he gets more mana regen, and he can zip around the map a lot more. And actually, Soft Switch gets a kill bottom lane, but Valentine will die in return because he did get hit by Maledict. While in the meantime, in the middle lane, the Roar from the Beastmaster was used. That's one of those BKB or spell immunity piercing spells that we were talking about. And it stuns his opponent for 3 seconds. Add that on top of Wild Axes, as we discussed, being a really strong spell, even at this point in the game. And against the Queen of Pain, a hero that has very little innate HP, it is a pretty easy kill to secure. Oh no.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger.
Well, on the side of come back up, you have a couple of players. A couple of words that they mentioned during their pretty much their introduction is that Soft Switch. I think that is the where is Soft Switch? Okay, the Bane, the 5-position Bane support, has mentioned that he has played Dota before, but only as a Warcraft 3 map. So he's pretty much familiar with the MOBA genre, which is I think arena battle, multiplayer online battle arena, which is what MOBA stands for. That means he knows the basics of it. But Dota has improved over Dota in a tremendous way. Top lane, good rotation coming in from Iraq Lobster to get the kill onto the Juggernaut, but in return they do lose their Storm Spirit in the bottom lane, which is of course rather painful if you trade that one out. And on the side of VBR, you've got Dandy, and he mentioned that he's always aiming for the first place. So that's definitely something you shouldn't scoff at, because he is aiming for the top, and that's what we all should do.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Top lane, rotation in from Dandy. Spirit Breaker uses the Bulldoze, which is a spell that improves your movement speed, but also increases status resistance. Now, what status resistance does in the game, it reduces the cooldown of it reduces the debuff of status effects on you. So if you get silenced, or if you get stunned, or get rooted, the duration that you get rooted gets reduced by, in Bulldoze's case, 34% at level 1. Max level, you get 70% reduction for that. That's why Spirit Breaker is a very annoying hero, because he has got a spell Charge of Darkness where he charges over the entire map after someone. And it's pretty much a very quick and effective pounce hero that gets on top of his opponents to take them down. So he can come charging out of the trees randomly, and you don't expect him, and then he overwhelms you. Speaking of overwhelming, Nerubian gets taken down. Omni Slash coming in. That's the Juggernaut doing a lot of damage here. S44 with his ulti, where he just jumps onto a target, and as it says, Omni Slash, he just goes pretty much bananas to get himself some kills. In the meantime, Iraq Lobster is absolutely having the time of his life in that mid lane. Well, check out the net worth. He is on top of the board. There are a lot of kills happening on the map right now, where in the bottom lane, the Witch Doctor, also a hero that arguably is incredibly tough to play against, especially if you are a Storm Spirit without your level 6 yet. Now he does have his level 6, but if you get stunned, you get taken down pretty quickly. And Iraq Lobster's 400 is very close in finishing up his Aghanim Scepter for that cool down reduction on the Wild Axes. They're fighting all over the map. Very brawly situation. South Switch gets taken down, but there's a trade coming out. The Storm Spirit running out of mana. Can go for a zip. Is delaying the zip for in case the Queen of Pain goes for a jump forward. And that's actually a correct call. Because if he does that, he could possibly dodge it. This he can dodge. He didn't manage to get the dodge of the Ball of Lightning. But he needs to be careful. Magic Wand also has infused Raindrop, so he survives a lot better. And should be honestly fine enough to get himself back to base. The way that Storm Spirit works, for instance, you can disjoint certain spells, like the Queen of Pain, Shadow Strike, and other spells, or dodge them with the Ball of Lightning, because you are immune to getting hit by anything, and you're immune of taking damage while you're zipping. So it's a very skill-based hero where you should know the interaction and how the hero exactly moves around the map. There's going to be a charge up top. They want to go in for the Shadow Shaman. He is level 6, but he gets bashed up. He can drop his ulti, but a big sip coming in from the Storm Spirit. Valentine making sure the first one falls. Juggernaut does not have a way out. Could Omni Slash if he wants to try and stay alive, but it is a little bit too costly. It would cost him a spell that has over 2 minutes worth of cooldown.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So the team of Come Backup have written a little bit of information about themselves. I had to throw it through the Google translator, so hopefully the translation will work perfectly. A sweaty brute sits on the captain's chair, who is not interested in anything in life except victory. To win, Roflo Turik makes his teammates suffer, sells them builds, moves, and heroes they don't want to play. They are already preparing a petition to remove him from the captaincy for his brutal treatment of animals by the team. We claim to be the top one, but we won't be upset if we lose because of the Puha in the mid lane. Puya. I don't necessarily know what Puya means, but
Structures are fortified.
yes.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
However, at this point in the game, you are in trouble because the Beastmaster has his Aghanim Scepter done, and W Master is a very easy target for a Beastmaster at that point. I mean, everyone is. He also has Fairy Strength Kit, which in this game, there are items that you can buy, but there are also neutral items that you can get at intervals 7 minutes. Yeah, look at the damage that he's going to deal right now. This is a ridiculous hero. Especially considering his magical damage these days, it's very hard to deal with. The badge comes out, Juggernaut in trouble, completely stunned up. And a triple kill for the Beastmaster because he is playing a hero that is arguably one of the strongest in this current patch. The bottom lane, both the Queen of Pain and the Mars's ulti have been used, so no Arena of Blood, no Sonic Wave left. But Soft Switch on that Bane is gonna get found out and taken down.
Scream bloody murder.
So there's two things going on in this game. First of all, Beastmaster is an incredibly powerful hero that arguably is kind of broken even still, even though this is the nerfed version, aka the weaker version. But the plus side is they don't have a strong late game hero. The Storm Spirit is okay-ish, but it's not on par with, for instance, the Juggernaut, who if he gets enough farm, if he gets enough items, can really take this game by storm. Even though he's up against Storm Spirit.
There is little hope for Radiant's middle tower.
My eternal
Dire
gratitude.
for enemies.
It's going to be a charge onto the Queen. She has a haste rune, so she could outrun it possibly, but the stun comes out from the Slardar. They're making sure that there's a complete stun lock. There was nothing the Queen of Pain could have done the moment the Slardar jumped on her. They had what's called a stun lock. That means that, again, you can't move. You can't blink, you can't run, you can't make a... You're just done. And that is something that you should normally tend to aim for in the bottom lane. They tried to grab the Mars, but there were two things happening. First of all, you have the Mars who has Hood of Defiance. And what Hood of Defiance does, it absorbs a certain amount of magic damage. Storm Spirit, for instance. And, well, no, mainly the Storm Spirit only really has magic damage at this point in the game.
Tower is under attack.
And you have the Witch Doctor who dropped his ulti underneath the enemies, which was that little ward that you saw that started spewing bullets at his opponents. The Death Ward.
Radiant's bottom
And it does a lot of damage. It just straight up does a lot of damage. If you get caught too close, you very easily die to this hero. But as you can see, the Beastmaster aggressively hunting for kills and will be able to find them as well. There's even a charge coming in. Dandy going forward. There's a nice cask bounce. A lot of damage. Beastmaster in trouble, but they will manage to catch themselves. Dandy. And even looking for more here. The Witch Doctor in trouble. And the Beastmaster won't even fall down to the damage he achieved. 10-0-1 on the Beastmaster. Pretty insane, as you might expect.
Generation.
He is going for the Kaya. Kaya does give you nice mana regen increase, spell amplification. What that means is all your spells do a certain percentage more damage. In his case, 8% more damage, and mana regen amplified by 50%, which is of course very much for a Beastmaster. And they will catch the Shadow Shaman. He gets taken down. The Queen of Pain has an Orchid, which is used to silence the Beastmaster, so he can't spam his Wild Axes. But it's not enough because the Queen of Pain does still nonetheless die. And the Beastmaster is even going to stay alive through it all. Hasn't died a single time. Has finished up an item called the Blink Dagger, which is being delivered right now. Blink Dagger, well, it pretty much does exactly what you might expect. It gives you the capability of blinking a certain distance, which is on that courier right there. It just delivered it to him, and he can blink around the map by using that item. As you can see, that circle around him, that's the blink radius, how far he can jump, and that means he can, just like the Slardar, who also has a blink dagger, he can immediately get on top of his opponents.
I'll take that.
Oh, did that hurt?
Every 3 minutes, a bounty rune spawns, by the way. Somewhere on these, on 2 spots on the map. The Storm Spirit's going to get jumped, but there is the roar. And the Beastmaster is pumping out a lot of damage, but the Witch Doctor has joined the fight. The Beastmaster is in trouble. Will at least get a couple more kills, but should eventually fall. Queen of Pain even jumps in to make sure that he dies. It's a very costly fight here for both sides. The Juggernaut using his ulti to try and get the damage in. He is missing some right now, but there's going to be the Shadow Shaman dropping his ulti. I think he did not catch himself inside, but needs to stay close to it, otherwise he might die from a aggressive move from the Radiant team. So all things considered, they're still doing a pretty decent job. There's a big zip from the Storm Spirit going forward, jumping on top of the Shadow Shaman while he's trying to walk away and taking down the Shaman. Juggernaut has an item called the Manta Style. It's a very good item. There are 2 different versions that they normally tend to go for, Manta Style or the SNY. In this case, he went Manta Style. What it does is when you use it, you create 2 illusions, which is a great addition. You can use illusions for extra damage. You can use them to farm faster. But the most important factor is it also gets rid of debuffs, of basic debuffs. That is, for instance, there's a spell called Corrosive Haze from the Slardar that gives you an armor reduction. You get rid of that. Don't necessarily... There are not too many this game that he can really get rid of. The Wild Axes debuff is pretty nice, but it's mainly for when the Storm Spirit gets his Orchid. Because if he's silenced, he can't spin. If he's spinning, he's immune to magic damage in general, to almost every magic spell in the game, except for, of course, the fact that they have Roar, Fiend's Grip, Slardar's Bash of the Deep is pretty annoying as well, and even the Nether Strike. Like, it's unfortunately a really bad game to play Juggernaut.
Middle tower is under attack.
But the big thing that he is doing is he is keeping up in farm with his opponents. He is making sure that he gets all the money on the map so that he is going to stay competitive. The supports are actually also really farmed. This Witch Doctor at the moment, what he's going for, is not something you see too often. It's the Aghanim Scepter Rush. It is very greedy, but it is also very strong on a Witch Doctor. And make sure that his ulti bounces onto all of his enemies. So it just keeps on bouncing around until your enemies are dead. That's the Juggernaut in trouble. They need to stun him down. It's going to be a lot of damage being thrown out, but the Juggernaut is still alive. Can Omni Slash as well. The damage being dealt here by the Dire team, and that's the kills secured. That was a big, gigantic save coming in from the Mars arena. The Queen of Pain with the Sonic Wave to push them back, and the Shadow Shaman to completely trap them all in place. They almost had the Juggernaut there, but the save from the Dire side was insane. Also, if the enemies are all grouped up, Paralyzing Cask, a spell from the Witch Doctor, is also something that bounces 6 times, because he only has it level 3. But it bounces between enemies, so if enemies are very close to each other, they can get perma-stunned, which happened in this case. And now they're heading into the Roche pit, which is a nice, is like what people might consider like Baron in League of Legends. It's a big boss monster that if you kill it, he drops an IE, gives your team 150 gold, I think, per player on your team. And you can get the Aegis, and what's great about the Aegis is it literally is a second life. If you would die while having the Aegis in your hand, you would be able to get it a second time, but they're trying to go for Roche. Actually, there's a steal attempt coming close. However, the Mars with a 3-man arena is going to get roared up, is in trouble. The Storm Streak went very far, but will get taken down by the Witch Doctor. However, the kills are all coming through, and they need to find the Roche kill quickly so that they can grab that Aegis. It gets picked up in the nick of time by the Juggernaut, so now he comes back with a second life. The only problem is he's alone. His teammates are already dead, so he's not going to be able to get out of that situation and will get taken down. Another great fight for the Beastmaster, who loves Roshan engagements.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
He just incredibly loves those close-knit fights where he can constantly, from a distance, throw out wild axes.
I'll take that.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And that's going to be the tier 2 tower secured towards mid. A great job so far. Oh, there's a catch from the Mars. Misses the spear, unfortunately, but luckily the Shadow Shaman with a ton of lockdown. Lotus Orb being used. That's going to reflect any single target spell coming out. Now Iraq Lobster can spam his axes, which he's doing currently. Mars is going to get taken down, and a great catch secured as well. The Juggernaut getting aggressive, trying to find a kill, but won't be able to catch his opponents. As you can see in the top, net worth advantage is very minimal. A complete zip in control, jump forward. They are going to go in for the supports, who are both dead right now. The Queen of Pain will manage to be able to get himself back to base, but the Juggernaut, he's going to Omni Slash because, well, he's trying to get the kill onto the Beastmaster. Unfortunately, doesn't get it done. Has no way out, no Blade Fury. Is trying to run. The Sonic Wave won't keep them at bay, and now even the Queen of Pain, okay, manages to just barely get the blink away, but a very painful engagement there for the VBR side up, and come back up looking pretty strong. I would honestly say that if they did not have the Beastmaster on this Radiant team, that the Dire, aka VBR, would have been in a very good situation in this game. It's just the Beastmaster is a tremendously powerful hero. Okay, Storm Spirit has an item on him called Philosopher's Stone, which gives him 80 GPM, so 80 gold per minute, which is a great tool. But the problem, and gives him a little bit more mana, but the problem is it also reduces your damage by 30, which for a right-clicking cord normally doesn't tend to be the case. That's why the Philosopher's Stone tends not to be too great. That's why the Philosopher's Stone normally gets gifted to like supports who don't do any right-clicking anyway, for instance. But you saw how strong that Omni Slash is, where he goes completely off of the map pretty much and starts whacking everyone with his big sword. Well, he is now done with the Aghanim Scepter, and that gives him the same ability, but then able to use it for a short duration. It's going to be a very short, 0.8 seconds, but it is a couple of slashes that you can get on top of your opponents. If you get a lot of attack speed, you can easily take down a Bane, for instance, in your Swift Slash, as it is called. Also, one of the items that I didn't talk about that much is the Lotus Orb. What Lotus Orb does, it does a basic dispel on the target that you use it on, and it gives them a shield for 6 seconds. And it spell reflects certain spells. Not everything, but a bunch of spells. Single target spells get spell reflected. In this case, the Omni Slash from Juggernaut can get spell reflected, which means that the person that has the shield on him, if they get hit by an Omni Slash, they're actually the ones that go around slashing everyone, as well as the Juggernaut. Say with the Shadow Shaman, the Hex gets returned, so the Shadow Shaman gets Hex. But for instance, the Shackles immediately breaks because the Shadow Shaman is going to get stunned by being shackled by his opponent. So Lodesorb is a very good tool against it. It also returns Rod of Atos, so make sure the Shadow Shaman is rooted if he tries to root his opponent. It also gets rid of a possible root if you have it on you. If you have an Orchid, the Silence, or if you are rooted by the Shadow Shaman, for instance, you can use it on you or an ally so that they get rid of the root / silence. Well, there seems to be some issues for the Slardar. Probably just needs a quick restart to get himself back in the game. Storm Spirit has a Yule Scepter, another item that can be used offensively or defensively. It gets rid of debuffs when you use it on yourself. So if you, for instance, and it makes you immune, or at least takes you off of the map for a bit. So if you get, let's say, Omni Slash by the Juggernaut, you can use it on yourself to make sure that the Omni Slash from the Juggernaut doesn't do anything. So that short duration spell of his that does that lasts for 3.5 seconds. From those 3.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds will be on no one. Well, at least not on the Storm Spirit, if you use it that way. You could also use it to set up combos with his teammates, because you take someone off the map, you could drop something underneath to catch him out. There are also other tools, ways you can use it. You can, for instance, if an enemy tries to teleport out, the only way that you can make sure someone doesn't TP is either you kill them, you root them, or you stun them. And Storm Spirit doesn't have, well, he does have a stun, there's Electric Vortex, but it is on a 16-second cooldown. If that's on cooldown and someone tries to TP in front of him, he can always use the Yule Scepter to make sure that he doesn't escape. And the Beastmaster has finished up his Arcane Blink, which is an upgraded version of Blink. What it does is it reduces the cooldown of your all your spells that you use by 25%, which is not, like, it doesn't matter to a Beastmaster that much. Well, the Roar does, but this Wild Axes doesn't have any cooldown whatsoever, so in that regard it's not great. But it also reduces the cast point for 6 seconds, which is amazing for a Beastmaster, because what that cast point is the animation that he needs to do to make sure that the spell goes off. So he doesn't have to have that very long drag arms back so that he can throw them forward move. It's going to be a lot faster and swifter once he tries to use his spells. Well, the issues seem to be pretty strong at the moment. But currently there is a 5,000 gold net worth lead for the Radiant side. Mainly because that Beastmaster is incredibly farmed. Sports-wise, this item right here can be definitely a dangerous tool. if you don't keep it in check, that's pretty much what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to jump the Witch Doctor every single fight. If you don't jump the Witch Doctor every fight, it is going to hurt incredibly painfully. Okay, Slaughter has returned. This is actually kind of a funny item on the Spirit Breaker. Echo Saber. What it does is you get, on a 5-second cooldown, you get an attack that does a very quick, a second attack in a row. So you get 2 quick attacks. But the plus side of Spirit Breaker is he has a bash, and that bash has a 17% chance to bash, so it's not that high. But if you have 2 attacks in a row, there's a way bigger chance that one of those will, of course, bash your opponents, and you can try and get the stun lock going, which is pretty much what they're aiming for with that move. And we are getting ourselves back in action.
But will it follow the same structures are fortified?
Here I am.
It's looking spicy.
Roki Rokanu on the Mars, Yule Scepter, like that. So, what I said earlier is you've got an item, the Aghanim Scepter, which of course upgrades certain spells in your book to become new spells or give additional buffs. Sometimes even give a completely new spell, consider, for instance, the Juggernaut with the Swift Slash. But there's also another item in the game that is fairly new.
Radiant's top tower
Fairly, it was their last big patch as well, but it hasn't been there for ages. It's the Aghanim Shard. So it's just it's pretty much a cheaper version of the Aghanim Scepter. It gives a small buff, but on some heroes it's incredibly strong. Juggernaut, though, is going to get controlled up. His teammates were nowhere to help, close enough to help him out, and he does get taken out. In this case, what he wants to talk about is Mars wants to build an Aghanim Shard. Well, you can read what it does. It's Spear of Mars, which is a spear throw spell. If you stun someone up against a wall or something, you spike them in, so you pierce them. They get stunned, normally for 2.8 seconds, but if you get the Aghanim Shard, it doesn't only hit the first target, but it also hits the second target that's next to him as well. And it leaves a trail on the floor, a fire trail that does 35 damage per second and slows for 20%. So it's a very strong upgrade to the Spear of Mars. If you get a good lineup, you can catch them both. For instance, if you would jump Blink here, you could skewer them both towards the tree, take him down. There is going to be TP out from the Storm Spirit towards top because he is greedy for money. And they are looking for catches here. The Slardar will try and TP out. Does he get himself away? No, he does not, because he's going to get rooted and stunned up. Finished off easily as well. Spirit Breaker and Beastmaster need to be careful. Slardar, he's got Maledict on him, so that's going to be a problem. Mars is hunting, though, but he won't be able to catch up to them. Now what the Beastmaster here is doing is every time Roshan dies, there's a 7-minute timer where Roshan can respawn. That's after 7 minutes, Rosh can possibly respawn. However, they're gonna quickly take down the Storm Spirit. He used Omni Slash, even though in this situation Swift Slash would have most definitely been preferred, because your opponent was, well, pretty much stuck and he would most likely have died.
What a bounty!
And Swift Slash has a 20-second cooldown. Omni Slash 140 seconds. So normally for those quick one-person kills, you tend to go for the Swift Slash, but it happens. It is still dangerous though. Juggernaut is a scary hero. The Beastmaster has his own Aghanim Shard now added in as well. So what the Beastmaster has is he has Call of the Wild Boar and Call of the Wild Hawk. The Hawk he can send somewhere on the map, and it has a 15% cooldown. It's an invisible air creep that will give vision around enemies so that you know if anyone is close. The great thing about it is he has an Aghanim Shard, and the Aghanim Shard actually gives the hero a spell called Dive Bomb. Oh, he's actually stacking the Hawks right now. So what he's trying to do is hope that an enemy walks close by. Let's say the Witch Doctor. And he can hit him 3 times in a row with a 2-second stun of the Hawk. Because that's what the Aghanim Scepter does. It gives you a 2-second stun. Sort of like a kamikaze pilot. To then just stun himself and his opponents up. And take them down. And if anyone walks in range here, you could stun up a bunch of his opponents. There is a smoke gang coming out. Jump onto the Witch Doctor. He's going to be controlled. But a great catch from Breeze on the back line. Nether Strike sends the Queen of Pain back. He's in trouble. Does get the blink to the high ground, but that's in front of the Slardar. And their BKBs are about to end the Sonic Wave. Pushes back the Radiant team. Come back up. They're hunting greedily for these kills. The Juggernaut is going to be the target here. Does not have his Omni Slash available, and that's going to be 3 kills for 1, because on the side it was the Mars that at least got 1 kill. The Slardar tried to blink in, but you can't use blink if you've taken damage from an enemy hero within the certain time frame. If you get hit by anything, you can't use blink for 3 seconds. In this case, there was that spear that was thrown by the Mars, so there was a trail of fire on the floor. And the Slardar tried to blink in, but his blink was being put on cooldown because of that trail of fire. There's going to be a catch onto the Mars, trying to get himself back. A very aggressive move, but the Spirit Breaker will at least get the kill. Shadow Shaman needs to be careful himself, and Breeze with another 2-man catch is going to pop his BKB, his magic immunity, and a lot of kills coming in for the side of Come Back Up. Whereas Roshan is almost up. In about 5 seconds, the big bad bully will respawn, and it's a great pickup if they manage to get it, because the second Roshan gives 2 more items than the first one did. The first one only gives you a second life. The second one gives you cheese, which is an instant use spell item in your inventory that restores 2,500 health and 1,500 mana. And the third one is the Aghanim Scepter Shard, which you only get at the second Roshan. But if you get it, you can get a free Aghanim Shard upgrade for any of your heroes.
Double damage.
And into the Roche pit they go. It's very easy to take for a Beastmaster, because he has that spell amplification that does so much more damage on enemy structures. And who actually got the Aghanim? Okay, so the Beastmaster has the Aghanim Shard, but he needs to give it to someone, which seems to be the Storm Spirit, because what Storm Spirit gets from it is Overload and can be activated to grant Storm Spirit and allied heroes within. So pretty much once he uses Overload, that spell, everyone around his allies get a buff that they can use one of his spells as well. But the Juggernaut S44 completely locked down. They make it to, and Come Back Up are completely in control of the game right now. Kind of felt that way the entire time, mainly because the Beastmaster was on a roll going forward the entire time. And the high ground push coming out. The problem with high ground push, it is very dangerous to go for, but they will go in for the Mars. There's going to be the Witch Doctor using his ulti, and this is the Aghanim Scepter ulti from the Witch Doctor, shredding them apart. Big damage being dealt, and they managed to keep their base alive. They did lose the Mars for it, who did die back. So a great mechanic about Dota is that you have buybacks in the game, where it costs you a lot of money. In this case, it cost them about 1,000 gold. But that way you have a second life. You instantly come back to life inside your fountain. The only very big issue with it is, of course, if you die, you have 25 seconds normal death timer added on top of your normal death timer. So if you would be dying 50 seconds long, you would instead die for 75 seconds. That's why the Mars is dead for so incredibly long on the dire side. And you can only use it every, I think, 7.5 minutes in the game. Zip in. The Queen of Pain will get jumped, but she pops the BKB. So that's the magic immunity to make sure that she does not get taken down by the storm. In the meantime, on the side, yeah, that's a complete control by the Beastmaster. He used one of those Hawks to stun his opponents up. Then he used the Roar, which now has only a 35-second cooldown. Especially once he blinks, the cooldown gets reduced by even more, by a 25%. So that reduces it to actually almost negligible levels. Making the Beastmaster incredibly dangerous. There's going to be another fight coming out. They need to charge that Witch Doctor, but the arena holds them in place. And there's the Witch Doctor's ulti going ham. But luckily, Breeze is smart enough to get the backline. However, the Juggernaut Omni slashing through is going to go in for Iraq Lobster. And they will try and run away. A 2-for-0 trade. Walking up the high ground against the Witch Doctor is incredibly dangerous. They're looking for the Storm Spirit, who is going to get stunned up, but will be able to get himself back. In the meantime, Iraq Lobster gets aggressive there. They could actually take him down if they get a stun lock going. Queen of Pain jumps on the high ground. There's going to be the Hex as well. Stun onto the Beastmaster. That's a big kill. And the Swift Slash finishes the job. Extra gold for the Juggernaut. Done with the MKB now as well. That's a lot of damage that he gets added on top of his regular damage already. And all of a sudden, this game starts to become very doable for the dire side. For the VBR team. Breeze on the Slardar. Very fast in the river because he's a sort of fish mutant thing. So he gets movement speed increase from that, as well as from his Guardian Sprint. And S44 finds another one. That is the Storm Spirit now dead. And they're dropping players here on the Radiant side. Now it gets to become very dangerous because Juggernaut is, as previously mentioned, the strongest hero in this game if he is farmed. Because he's a late game core. He's an agility late game core, which is incredibly hard to deal with in Dota. Because he does so much damage and very quickly as well. Should probably get an Aghanim Shard soon enough as well. Because that improves his Blade Fury by a lot. But they will break the enemy's racks. And what breaking the racks does is... You see these creeps here? That spawn in the lane? These are the normal creeps. Now, you'll get super creeps. Let's see. The super melee creep, compared to the normal melee creep, has about 200 HP more. And has about double the attack damage. So the lanes automatically get pushed into the enemy's base. And there's no recovering from broken racks. That's why it's very important to take down the enemy's racks. Once you take down all 6 of their barracks, 2 in every lane. 1 is for the range creeps, 1 is for the melee creeps. If you take all 6 of them down, you get yourselves megas. And that's mainly what people are aiming for most of the time. If you secure megas, you get creeps that are incredibly tough. Even heroes can easily die to those creeps at that point. Mainly supports just get completely destroyed. This Bane would not have a chance against one wave of those creeps. And once you get to that point, you can still win on the opposing side. Oh, but they're going to go for the Juggernaut. The stun lock is there. Is he going to be able to get out? No, he is not. That's a dead Juggernaut. S44 dead for 90 seconds. Did fully invest into that Black King bar, so the magic immunity item. But that also means that he does not have any money for a buyback. And now his teammates, they need to hold on to their base without their big tanky buff. And they're looking for the Witch Doctor. This is a great move, making sure that the Witch Doctor can't pop his Death Ward, his ulti, because he's the one that did so much damage previously. They're still taking a lot of damage. There's the Death Ward bouncing all over the place. It will find at least the Bane, and Valentine should be able to get himself back, but the racks in mid are still not taken down. And they did lose the Mars. But they can definitely go back in if they want to. They have buybacks available, and I mean, the Juggernaut and Mars are still dead with the ultis on cooldown. I think it would have been actually a pretty solid idea to try and finish it off. As you can see, the Boar is trying to finish off the range racks. There's also a big difference between range racks and melee racks. You normally want to go for the melee racks because there are more melee creeps in a creep wave, so it pushes better. But the melee racks have automatic regen implemented in them. They get 5 HP per second regen. Whereas the range racks have less HP, less armor, and they don't have that regen factor.
Regeneration.
So if you just manage to take it down, every little bit of damage that you do is permanent. Well, permanent, but there are some heroes that can deal with it, like Treant Protector is a hero that has an innate healing ability in him, which can get rid of annoying imperfections like that. — 40 minutes in the game. We are at pretty much at our tier 4 items. There are a couple of them that are really good. Telescope, for instance, definitely would look forward to them picking it up, but it isn't. Oh, that's a big spear throw. That's the Beastmaster in trouble, but the backline jump. Valentine has himself an Agnum Scepter, drags them all together. They lose the 2 support. Almost, actually. Nerubian now finally dies, and Breeze will get taken out as well. Queen of Pain jumping back is going to get finished off by the Storm Spirit, but the Storm Spirit is now in a lot of trouble himself. He's running out of mana. A buyback from the Queen of Pain to rejoin the fight, but the Storm Spirit will actually be able to disengage and TP to safety. Spirit Breaker, not going to be so lucky. And all things considered, still a very favorable fight for the Dire side, even though it cost them a buyback. So that's going to be on cooldown for quite some time. High ground push to come through. They're going for the finish, actually. There's a big catch from the Storm. Double buyback from the Radiant side. Roar comes in. Control onto the Queen of Pain. If she dies, she doesn't have a fight for 125 seconds. The Arena from the Mars, he's going to lose his life as well. He does now have a buyback available, but it was a triple man buyback forced out on the Radiant side. And it now becomes very dangerous for both teams, because on one end, you want to finish the game off right now. Your opponent's mid laner is not here for another 100 seconds. Roshan is about to respawn, but they just missed it, and no one is checking the pit. This is the third Roshan. It actually gets pinged out again. And it's a Refresher Shard Roshan. What Refresher Shard does, it just instantaneously resets all the cooldowns of all of your spells and items. Which is, on their team, pretty good. Not superb, but double roar is always nice. Juggernaut would definitely love it himself. Speaking of the Juggernaut, he's in a lot of trouble at the moment. Does have Swift Slash, but he can't get it off. Does have a buyback available to try and rejoin the fight. But again, the Juggernaut taken down, and the Mars even forcing out his own buyback to try and hold the enemies at bay. Arena coming out. They really need to try and catch out that Witch Doctor, because his Death Ward is the one thing that has been doing so much work in all these engagements. As you can see, it is breezing right through their opponents. And it's Nerubian and W Master who get themselves a very crucial double kill, considering now... Okay, they did lose the Mars, so he's dead for 100 seconds, but on the other hand, they did also lose the Slardar, which is another dieback. And dieback is the thing we call it when someone dies without a buyback being available. We tend to call that a dieback. Shadow Shaman, Aghanim Scepter, Aether Lens gives you extra cast range, so extra range where you can drop your spells or hold someone down with Shackles. Rod of Atos, which roots someone. What the Aghanim Scepter does in Shadow Shaman, of course, is it makes sure that his Serpent Wards, those wards, those very bright yellow things that that he drops down in a circle, they target and hit 2 players at the same time. But both sides need to be very careful right now, because that third Roshan with an Aghanim Scepter, Refresher Shard is for both teams. I think for the Dire a lot better though. If they manage to get it with, top lane, Juggernaut in trouble, popped his BKB in time. Is going to go for the Omni Slash, and that's the Beastmaster in a lot of trouble. Beastmaster dead for 125 seconds. They're looking for the Juggernaut going forward. He does have another Swift Slash available, gets dragged back. Can still get the Manta Style, but he's going to get silenced after the Manta Style usage, and that's going to cost him his life. They will finally take him down. No buyback for the Juggernaut for 125, but they also lost the Beastmaster in return.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So what happened there is the Juggernaut used his Manta Style before the Storm Spirit silence came off. If he waited a little bit, Storm Spirit would have hit him with the Orchid Malevolence, and then he could use the Manta Style to get rid of the silence debuff from the Orchid Malevolence. That way you can get immediately rid of the silence, and then you could... They're going to have themselves a quick little pause of a minute. So probably some bio breaks and whatnot need to be had.
It's looking spicy. I actually do have... an add-on called DOTA Plus, which can show you what heroes some people tend to play. And it also can show you pretty much statistics about certain people. You can, for instance, see in both these teams, they have a couple of players that have pretty much tried playing Dota for the first time, which is pretty impressive with their performance. I think it's the best of one. Me and Tom know each other. We used to work for the same company. We've actually casted in the same lobby multiple times in the past. The Russian caster that's in this tournament. And also doing, of course, this same game. But we are back in action, and let's see. Mars got A on disc, which is
And this is actually a nice little addition here. He tends to die very quickly in the fights, but because he's the front line, he's the one that takes the brute force of the damage. And Aeon Disc makes sure that once you hit 70% of the damage you take, it immediately gets rid of debuffs on you and you take a lot less damage. You take no damage for 2.5 seconds, I think. Yeah, 2.5 seconds buff, where you take no damage from your opponents, and they can barely lock you down. But Roshan is going to get picked up by the Radiant side. It takes a little bit longer, but they do have a lineup that can definitely take it down with Corrosive Haze, which is armor reduction, and armor reduction is very good for stuff like Roshan, and just in general taking down your opponents, but mainly just destroying Roshan. If you've got items or passive abilities that also reduce armor, it's great for building pushes, but Slardar can't use Corrosive Haze on buildings. Oh, he has a Moon Shard. That's just 140 attack speed item, which is really good for, well, as it pretty much says, attack speed. And on a hero that is pretty much predominantly needs a lot of attack speed, it is actually amazing. Okay, so what they did here is they smoked. You can buy a smoke, I think, every 3 minutes in the game, maybe 4. But what it does, it makes so that your opponents can't see you. Oh, the spear, actually, they get the control onto the Storm Spirit. Will they be able to take him down, though? There's going to be the arena. And the Witch Doctor, does he pop his ulti on the low ground? Is going to get it down, and a lot of damage being dealt. They only found one so far, but the Omni Slash bouncing further forward. Breeze is going to get taken down. They're going to surround him, and they're looking to take down the Slardar a second time. He blinks out in time. Breeze is going to go for the sprint away. But a fight that was, well, it cost them pretty much everything on the side of VBR. But they did manage to take down the Bane. They got rid of the Aegis. So definitely a worthwhile engagement if they can make it so that their opponents do not fight them until their cooldowns are back. Because that's one thing that you need to be careful of if your opponents have cooldowns. They have a shorter cooldown on all their spells than the Dire side. Zip in, great catch coming onto 3. But they need to be careful themselves. The Shackles holds Slardar in place. Witch Doctor, no ulti just yet. There's going to be the refresher used, but the Queen of Pain, okay, they still really are out of any of their spells except for the Omni. Tries to go for the quick Swift Slash. He will lose his life. Valentine is in trouble. Pops the Bloodstone to try and stay alive, but that's going to cost him all of his mana, and that's going to cost him his life. No buyback. Well, it does have a buyback available, but the Bara, aka the Spirit Breaker, doesn't have a buyback for 45 seconds. Dandy going aggressive. There's a zip in. A lot of damage. Catches out the supports on the backline, but they do have the Witch Doctor with his ulti. The roar comes out, pushes them back, destroys the Queen of Pain. Looking for more. They don't actually have ways to stay alive, and it's a full team by Valentine with the buyback. Goes completely insane and gets a triple kill. The entire advantage back in favor of Come Back Up. Valentine on that Storm Spirit doing a lot of work in that fight. 26 Bloodstone charges. You get a Bloodstone charge every single time you're near an opponent that dies. So, and it just gives you an increase in mana regen and spell amplification. So the more stacks you have, the stronger you become. And if you die, you lose 3 Bloodstone charges. But he can lose his life. Well, at the moment he can't really lose his life because he doesn't have a buyback available, so it's very dangerous. But they might just go for the finish here on the Radiant side. They're looking for it. Some Spirit's also invis up, so that he can't be jumped that easily. Buyback coming out from the Witch Doctor. They really do need that Mars actually to hold them in place. A zip in onto the Jug. He's in trouble, but that's the Cask Bombs doing a lot of work. Death Ward on top. They will kill off The Juggernaut buyback from the Queen of Bane. It still bounces around. They find the Bane on the back end. There's going to be a zip in. Valentine trying to get the catches. He needs to be very careful. His BKB, that's a fresh one. So he is still very much in the combat right now. But there's the Mars joining in. And if he gets the spear, Mars, he's looking for the catch. If he finds the Storm Spirit and diebacks him, that could be a big issue for the Radiant side. Dodges it with that nice Stormcrafter move and a great dodge. The Storm Spirit keeps himself alive. The Spirit Breaker charge again, trying to get a little bit of control going. In the meantime, actually, the Mars still finds the Storm Spirit, who's out of mana currently. The stun is there. Valentine's in trouble. The Mars, will he be able to finish him off? He again stays alive thanks to the Yule Scepter. They control up Rocky Rokanu, who then gets the kill onto Valentine. Dandy is now in a 1 versus 2 engagement, but it's not the best heroes to deal with because they have stun locks possible. And the Queen of Bane, no, the Satanic is not going to get him going. That's going to be a triple kill for the Slider, and it will force out the buyback from the Mars. Juggernaut is up in 30 seconds, and the Mars should be able to hold them back for a bit, but the problem is they almost have a perma stun lock, and he didn't get his arena off in time. He's in trouble. Juggernaut, how far is he away? 20 seconds. He throws out the arena. The buyback from the Beastmaster, and that should honestly be the nail in the coffin. And the final engagement here. The GG's. Now the Radiant are calling the GG, which technically should not be the case. But yeah, there's nothing they can really do. That's the Ancient destroyed, and that is game. The first best of 1 series so far taken down. That's come back up, securing their first win in the group stages. But of course, that is not the end of things. We still have a nice little couple of matches going forward next, which, if I am not mistaken, is going to be, I'm quickly going to check for all the fine gentlemen. It's going to be Kakaya to Sueta versus Comeback up next. So we'll go quickly towards a... first we'll have a little chat about the rosters on both these teams from Comeback Up and VBR. Here we see Comeback Up. Iraq Lobster on that Beastmaster, of course, did a lot of work and did so much damage in that game. In the beginning, but eventually it was that Slardar from Breeze doing, eventually finishing the job that they were starting with. And on the other side, you've got yourselves the VBR lineup that did just unfortunately lose, but they definitely had a very good opportunity. That Witch Doctor, the supportive duo of W Master and Nerubian, kept them alive for so long, but it was just unfortunately not enough to beat their opponents. But we'll be back for game number 2 in this in the group stage after a short break.
Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second series of the day. We've got ourselves Kakaya to Sueta, aka KTS, versus Come Back Up. Come Back Up had a very good game in their previous showing with the Beastmaster mid. This time around, though, KTS, it might seem that they have watched out for what was going on, because they made sure to ban that hero out, and they don't want to deal with that horrible hero to... Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty insane hero. But the KTS, of course, a team that we haven't been able to gain, well, watch just yet. A little bit of background information about them. Kasua, for instance, it has been professionally cracking PC games since the age of 6. You've got Maxi, who's been fiddling around on Dota. Obnuljater, who has quit playing Dota in 2017. And Vovik, who has pretty much played Dota off and on for 15 years and still finds it rather disturbing, which, you know, tends to be the same case with most people. Dota is a game that everybody loves to hate. Hates to love. But it does mean that we will get to see our first picks. We've got the Disruptor Snapfire supportive duo for Kakaya to Sueta, and on the other side it's the Sand King Phoenix. Okay, so some dynamics here is Phoenix, his ulti. What it does, it creates a big egg that, if it does do a lot of damage, AoE. And if it goes off, so over a certain amount of time, it explodes. And that does a big AoE stun on everyone around it. To counter it, you need to destroy the egg with right clicks. At level 1, you need 6 right clicks. But on the opposing side, Kakaya, Dosueta, you've got the Snapfire. And what Snapfire does so incredibly well is it absolutely destroys the Phoenix egg. In no time. A Phoenix egg gets completely obliterated because he has a spell called Lil Shredder that does 6 attacks in a row, and that nearly instantly kills off the Phoenix egg. That's why Snapfire is such a good counter to the Phoenix, in especially in the early game.
10 seconds.
But come back up, they ban out the Weaver. Sniper as well, very annoying hero to deal with. The Sand King is also pretty powerful. I mean, it's probably their offlane duo, the Sand King Phoenix, because it does so much magic damage. I mean, both teams have incredible magic damage so far. Just a very brawly picks being secured at the moment.
Seconds remain. 5 seconds.
I will definitely mispronounce Obnuliator multiple times, by the way. Just a quick heads up. And on the comeback up side, Favojki Prinesi. My Russian is not superb. It definitely is not superb. It's not even close to being okay-ish. I know a couple of words, and most of them aren't the nicest kind. Well, I know Privyet, which I think is hello, and Na zdrowia, or is that Polish? But regardless, the ban's continuing. Bane getting taken out. They got rid of the one of the safe laners. I do like the ban from Comeback Up to get rid of the Life Stealer. It's a very powerful hero in the current patch. Just an incredibly tanky hero that really doesn't die easily at all. And also has a lot of regen added on top.
5 seconds. Turn to pick.
Well, let's see. Wraith King getting banned out. Storm Spirit banned out as well. They did play a safe lane Storm Spirit in the previous game, so that might be the reason why. But yeah, Sand King Phoenix. I like that combo, especially because Sand King can also stun his opponents to make sure the Phoenix egg goes off. Very mobile heroes. They're also kind of like that orange-red-ish, so you could go for, as they continue with that draft, you know, the orange lineup with the Shadow Shaman pickup. Or maybe it's a bit more yellow. I mean, Snapfire is more orange. But they went for 3 yellow heroes on the comeback up side with that Shadow Shaman pickup next. Which tends to normally be a 4 position, but I think they will run it as a 5 with the Phoenix 4 and the Sand King off lane. At least for the time being, currently. question is, how is their opponents going to respond? I mean, both sides still need a safe laner, without a doubt.
Legion Commander.
Legion Commander. Okay, so Legion Commander is a hero that duels his opponents, so holds them in place, and if he wins a duel, which I think lasts about 3-4 seconds, then Legion Commander gets extra duel victory damage. So it is an infinitely scaling core in that regards, but the biggest plus is you can instantaneously get rid of stuns if you use your press the attack on allies. So it is a very supportive, but also very dangerous offlaner that is incredible against the Shadow Shaman, has attack speed increasing spells, so good against the Phoenix, and also good against the Sand King because, again, he just does so much healing and getting rid of stuns that it's hard to control this hero pick. For the Radiant side. Normally, heroes that tend to be strong against Legion Commander in lane would be, well, Ursa, Monkey King, heroes that can do stacking damage on his opponent, or some range heroes like Drow Ranger, for instance. Troll Warlord is also a hero that can swap between melee and range. Also, a little bit of yellow, so we can kind of continue on with that orange-yellow vibe for the comeback up lineup.
10 seconds.
You know, gotta get those colors matching. Please do make sure that the last one also follows suit, otherwise that would be saddening.
Radiant's turn to battle.
Huskar.
Huskar! Oh, that's a big surprise factor. And they banned the Ancient Apparition as well. So Huskar is one of... Okay, I was curious if this was going to happen in the Veeam League. And that is cheese. What cheese is pretty much... You pick a hero that technically does have counters. Some heroes completely destroy that hero out of the game
10 seconds.
if you counter him. But if you don't, they can take down all the other heroes single-handedly. It is what people refer to as cheesing the game, a cheese strat, a pocket strat. Huskar is one of those heroes because Huskar is a hero that has so much HP regen thanks to his passive, well, HP regen, and also does a lot of damage. He always pretty much plays at about like 20 to 40% of his HP. But if you think that you're about to kill him because he is at like 10% HP, and you think, oh, we only need one more hit, that's where you're wrong. Because that's what the Huskar does incredibly well, and that is stay alive with minimal HP. Heroes that counter it, for instance, would be the Ancient Apparition, but they banned it out immediately on the Kakaya to Sueta side. And this is definitely going to be an interesting showing. I'm looking forward to the Huskar game. Is it going to be a Huskar safe, or it does look like a Lina mid with a Huskar safe, Legion Commander offlane, Snapfire forward, Disruptor 5 on one team. And the other team went for the Zeus last pick. So they are just have a ton of magic damage, first of all. And the Zeus is arguably pretty decent against the Huskar until the Huskar gets a ton of HP. But Zeus does percentage-based-ish damage with his spells as well. And it's a hero that has an ulti that hits everyone on the opposing side on the map for, I think, about 250 to 300 damage at level 1. So it's a lot of AoE damage that can pretty much get you an advantage in the laning stage. You're standing somewhere in the bottom lane, you're running low on HP, and you instantaneously get completely torn apart. Okay, it seems that... Actually, that was the Radiant side. They pinged out that they wanted to go that way. I ping out that I want to make a heart. But now, the Lina, aka Vovik has smoked up with this team, and they're spreading out completely. A lot of mangoes on that disruptor. He's going to be just a nuisance in the lane because all he wants to do is spam Thunderstrike on his opponents to do damage to them and try and bully them out of the lane.
Sounds this beat of war. Players compete for
And they're going to start off with a little bit of a harass damage. He does have Burning Spear, but the 3 bounty is picked up by the Dire side. It will only be 1 bounty for the Radiant. Oh. Actually, I need to swap some things around because if I'm not mistaken, the Radiant team is that one. There we go. And the mid lane matchup is going to be the Lina against the Zeus, which, well, the Zeus is going to use a lot of mana, but he's going to go for the bottle quick rush. Lina, same thing, but Lina's going to take a little bit longer because Zeus expended everything at the start to gain it. Bottom lane, Disruptor using his mangoes just for pure harassment's sake to keep his opponents low in HP and bully them out of the lane. There are a lot of mechanics in Dota, way more than, I mean, Dota is such a complex game with, I don't actually know how many heroes. I would assume like 120 or something. But the mid matchup, Lina tends to have the advantage over Zeus, tends to have the advantage over mainly every hero in the game, just because of the attack range that the hero has. But Valentine on that Zeus, definitely a worthy contender at the moment with his bottle.
Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Throwing out some harass, trying to go for the fight against Lina, who doesn't have Light Strike Array, so this might just be first blood for the Zeus. And will be that first blood secured for Valentine. Vovik gets taken down, and that is the Zeus. Definitely very happy, because we'll be sending out his boots of speed already. First blood is a big plus in this game because you get extra money if you get first blood. You see, first blood got him 338 gold. I think it's 150 more gold than you normally would get, something along those lines. I don't necessarily know the exact amount. On top. Shackles holding the LC in place. Legion Commander will be just fine. Doesn't have a point to press the attack just yet, but this definitely helps. Moment of Courage. It gives you a chance to proc a counter attack. So if you get attacked by someone, there's 25% chance that you hit something close enough to you to give yourselves a hit that also gives you 55% lifesteal on it. So it is a way to keep yourself alive, and that's why Legion Commander used to be a hero that played into the jungle a lot.
Denied.
And Valentine dropping pretty low. He's just waiting for the water runes to spawn in the lane. And is even making sure that he can stack the camp. However, he is very low in HP and needs to be careful. Dragon Slave is a long range spell. He's trying to actually kite that Lina around to possibly kill him off. But the Lina is going to walk the other direction. However, the problem is Lina doesn't have a bottle just yet. And Valentine on that Zeus mid is actually in a very good position. The only problem is bottom lane, Huskar is completely destroying his lane. Top lane, they actually lose Iraq Lobster to Corey. And they're even looking for the Shadow Shaman, who can get slowed by the Scatter Blast in range. Legion Commander. They won't be able to kill off the Shadow Shaman. Or... no, they went for the little shredder, so there's no cookie stun, and that means soft switch should be able to just outrun everything. TP coming in from the Troll Warlord. And they're going to hold in place the Snapfire, but it's also not an easy hero to take down. Troll Warlord does have the attack speed increase from Fervor, and that Snapfire is going to get rooted up, taken down. Kill secured for Iraq Lobster. He's looking for Corey as well. Especially considering Shadow Shaman is also nearby and has those shackles. Can he slow him down long enough? No, he can't, because the Legion Commander is a pretty fast hero baseline anyway. So he'll be able to just run to safety. But right now the Zeus is level 6. So you need to be incredibly careful on the map. Anyone gets too low in HP, he uses it, if he has enough mana that is, he can pop his ulti, Thunder God's Wrath, and everyone on the map of his opponent's team gets 300 damage. Ooh. Disruptor. Keswa gets taken down bottom lane. Centaur Stomp is a little bit of a nuisance factor in the game, but it doesn't really result too much.
There is little hope for Dire's middle tower.
An illusion rune picked up by the Zeus means he gets a full bottle recharge. And the Lina, well, could recharge his bottle as well, because there are bounty runes to be picked up. He actually has 2 bounty runes still to pick up. That's a lot of charges for his bottle. I'll soft switch dies top lane to... sorry, Corey dies top lane to soft switch. And the Zeus just continuing to have fun and farm up nicely. Even recharging his bottle as we speak. I think Lina will be doing that soon as well. Yeah. This is going to be great for the Lina because that's a lot of bottle recharges. But the Zeus is going to try and deny it. Does he micro it in time? No, he does not, luckily enough. Otherwise, he could have probably denied one, maybe even both those bounty runes. And immediately Lina heading towards the top lane to try and get a catch onto the Troll. Or the Shadow Shaman is probably the most likely. They did find a kill onto the Phoenix in the bottom lane. But there's rotation coming in. They hold in place the Legion Commander. Lina walking forward. Not necessarily the fastest hero known to mankind. But will be enough to find the kill onto Iraq Lobster. And a quick kill secured for the Lina. The problem with Lina is...
for Radiant's middle tower.
she doesn't have boots yet. So it's pretty hard to rotate around and get quick kills secured.
Is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant should look to their middle tower. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant should look to their
Yeah, that Huskar is getting pretty dangerous. Going for the armlet next. Which is going to give him a lot of strength and a lot of survivability. But that Zeus on the other side, it's pretty much the Zeus versus the Huskar this game. That feels that's going to be the main battle. Because Zeus can do so much work and he's getting aggressive. The problem is he doesn't have any mana left. He uses ulti. So at least does some damage to the others on the map. And that's going to be the Disruptor very close and dying. Does he manage to get away? One more right click necessary. Unfortunately, won't be able to find it. And that's going to be the Juke from Keswa to keep him alive for now. But the Career Snipe coming out. The Burrow Strike in. And the right click to smack him to pieces. The kill onto Keswa does come through. Well, in the meantime, Maxi finished off by Soft Switch. Another kill for the Shaman. It's 4-0 and 2 at the moment.
Bounty. There is little hope for Dire's middle tower.
And Maxi joining in that top lane again. We are now at the 10-minute mark. Usually Tome of Knowledge has come out at this point, and a Tome of Knowledge is an item that every 10 minutes spawns, which will be able to be bought out by one of your teammates. It just gives you a ton of experience points. That way you can get your ultis a lot faster, which all your ultis do come up at level 6. In case of ultis, I would say the advantage... I mean, teamfight in general would lie the advantage on the side of come back up. Valentine, very dangerous game to play up against this Zeus. Especially considering he has a regen rune as well, so he can just spam out a bunch. Which he's going to do right now. And a lot of it. And the reason why is regen rune doesn't stop unless the duration runs out. Or if you get hit by an enemy spell. That's why you can just pump out as much damage as possible. All your spells. And just constantly regain that mana. A lot of the time, mid laners that get regen runes pretty much win the lane because of that exact factor. They burrow in onto the Disruptor. A lot of damage, but there's the jump on the Phoenix. Does get the Tome. Can use it. If he used it there, he could have possibly gone for the Supernova. Not that he would have survived. It probably wouldn't have resulted into a surviving situation regardless. Because he was up against the Husker. There's going to be Mortimer's Kisses. The globs of death. And that is Soft Switch no more. Vovik gets a double kill with rotation top. And you can see here the dual victory damage on the Legion Commander. He did take down the Troll Warlord. And with that, does get permanently, infinitely scaling cores in the game, and it's pretty tough to deal with.
Haste. Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Zeus rotating bottom lane. They're going to go for the Huskar. Epicenter, he gets pushed back thanks to the inner fire, but Valentine should be able to get himself the kill onto Keswa. The Huskar is going to be a little bit troubling unless he jumps right on top of his opponents, and this is going to be a dead Huskar double kill for the Zeus picked up. And that's a very big double kill. Iraq Monster also, Lobster, sorry, also rotated towards the bottom lane. Going for the tier 1 tower. Once that tower is gone, the map's going to get opened completely. This entire area is then going to be able to be played by the Dire team. The problem is, if there's a tier 1 tower, you can rotate TP towards it. That means that you can't really go too far deep into the enemy's jungle. Because they can TP here, they can TP here, and they can TP here. That's why you should always try and get the bottom tier 1 very quickly, and then possibly the mid tier 1 to open up the map. But Breeze is going to get taken down. The heal from the Phoenix's Sunray is not going to be enough. There is going to be a Phoenix Supernova availability. He's going to drop it. The duel comes out. The Troll Warlord is staying alive. For now, eventually does get taken down. The Huskar will be able to survive, though. And the Phoenix Egg is unfortunately not going to be able to keep his teammate alive. So Legion Commander gets his second duel victory of the game. Very close to the Blink Dagger so that he can blink on top of his enemies and then immediately start that duel. Oh, and Breeze gets taken down bottom lane by the Huskar. On top of everything. That Huskar 2-1-2. Full armlet done, so you can toggle it, which is honestly a pretty tough ordeal because you need to... If you turn it on, you get a lot more HP. But you have a debuff that reduces your HP by a bit. But if you're, for instance, 1 HP and you turn it on, you then instantaneously get 25 strength, which is then coincides with a lot of extra HP. So you can toggle it so that it's very hard for enemies to take you down.
Dire should look to their bottom tower. Dire structures are fortified.
They're looking for a fight. Lina's here as well. Has bots, boots of travel, so you can TP all over the map. On every creep on the map that is from your team, you can TP, and towards towers, you have one, and it won't cost you TP scrolls. You just have one TP scroll, and you don't have to re-buy a TP every single time.
Oh, that would be a tribute.
It is a very costly item, but it does mean that you can help your teammates a lot more by rotating quickly. Same item as that the Zeus has, Valentine, but he's going for his Aghanim Scepter. That's pretty much a crucial item to get for the hero. They're rotating towards the bottom lane though. Looking to get the Husker. There's a little bit of backup from the Disruptor. But the big plus is that they've got a lane ward play. So they see if any of the terrorists are of the Dire team are getting aggressive to try and take down the Huskar.
Arcade.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Sorry, that terrorist thing was a little bit of my good old CSGO brain coming through. Bottom lane, double kill for Valentine. And the Zeus, yeah, also had an Arcane Rune. This is going to get him closer towards his Aghanim Scepter, especially the fact that you take down that Husker is a big plus for the team. Sand King is struggling this game, net worth wise. I would say that their team is probably still ahead because the Troll Warlord is done with his Battle Fury. 60-minute timing, it's not too bad. He had a pretty tough lane to deal with. He died 4 times already, which is not the greatest, and this might actually be a 5th. Laguna Blade. He does pop his ulti to stay alive just in the nick of time. Zeus actually TP's in, and the kill comes through. Zeus will get glimpse back. Double kill for the side of comeback up before they lose the troll. So it is, in a sense, actually still worth it. I mean, you know, losing the troll is never worth it. But you got 2 kills out of that before it went wrong. So you'll take that any day of the week. And even glimpsed back the Zeus, so he was pulled out of any combat possibilities afterwards. With that Aghanim Scepter being halfway done, you're going to have so much fun on the hero.
Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Dial switch. Uh-oh. Needs to be careful. Glimpse is max leveled. Gonna get dragged back, held in place. Legion Commander wants to go for that duel, is gonna be able to get the duel. And will they get the duel victory? Yes, they do. That's 30 duel victory damage for Corey in the house.
I'll take your tribute. Just what I needed.
And the Zeus is getting pretty farmed up in here. But there's still a Lina on the other side with the Yules now finished up. It's not even that far behind Valentine, even though Valentine still hasn't died this game. Top lane, Lina TPing in. There is a Zeus on the other side. And this item is such a big pickup. Shadow Shaman is done with his Aether Lens. He's got the long range shackles and the long range hex, which is superbly powerful. Okay, Lina going in. Sunray comes out. There's going to be the Shadow Shaman TPing in as well, so they are immediately going to stop their engagement on the Zeus. Because that might be a little bit too problematic. Dire side have a Philosopher's Stone, so someone should... probably should be the Phoenix in all things considered. Phoenix or the Shadow Shaman, but I think Phoenix, because he's so far behind, really should get that Philosopher's Stone on him for the 80 GPM talent. 80 GPM, not talent, just 80 GPM. So that you have passive gold farm. However, they're looking for the tier 2 tower top, and it's a 5-man rotation from the Radiant side. In the meantime, Corey losing a lot of HP here. They're looking for the hunt. Zeus has his ulti available, which... Okay, this is all a bait. Kasua coming through with the Sextome Kinetic Field. Phoenix gets dropped though, and this is going to actually keep the Radiant at bay. They're going to be held in place. Epicenter, Burrow, Serpent Wards, and a triple kill secured for the Dire team with a double for Iraq Lobster. Looking for the Snapfire, who is being chased all the way in the back. And Maxi Snappy is no more, finished off. They do spot the courier out, but Iraq Lobster won't be able to reach the courier just yet. But a 4-for-0 trade is going to be a big win for the side of Come Back Up.
Regeneration.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And the tier 1 tower top lane gonna get pushed in, but in the meantime, Vovik, he does secure the tier 1 bottom. Lina being a bit of a nuisance still. However, Aghanim Scepter from the Zeus is pretty much done.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
That bounty rune, and he can buy the full Aghanim Scepter. At that point, he's gonna have so much global presence, it's cry-worthy.
More of that.
Because what Nimbus does, it gives the Zeus a new spell. And that spell is global, where he throws out an area of effect spell, well, a zone around an enemy that summons a lightning bolt every couple of 2.25 seconds. You drop that on an enemy and they get the lightning bolt mini stun, then you throw out your own lightning bolt, then the Thunder God's Wrath, and it is so much magic damage to deal with. He also has spell amplification and mana cost reduction, which is also superb on the hero. And they're going in. Troll Warlord. Keswa's taken down by Iraq Lobster. Does pop his ulti for it. But Vova coming in. However, there's the quick burrow from Breeze, and they dive on top of the Lina, making sure that she won't be able to respond. Went for the Maelstrom, so not a lot of survivability. Missing kind of like a BKB. So the magic immunity or some health items at this point. But just went straight out for the mobility, a little bit of survivability, and a decent amount of damage. Over Oscar, he's going to go for that magic immunity with the BKB. Has himself the armlet and the Morbid Mask as well. Serpent wards drop towards mid. They're looking for the tier 2 tower themselves. It's a very strong push with the Troll Warlord and Shadow Shaman together. And that tier 2 tower, well, it's dropping. It's gonna drop completely. Or is it? They're going in. Duel on to the Legion Commander. Troll Warlord's dead. Big kill coming out. The Epicenter burrow by Breeze. Connects onto one. Needs to be careful himself, but the Phoenix Egg gets dropped and they have to stay away. Lina probably could have killed the Phoenix Egg there. Oh no, actually he just turned. Oh no, it was still level 1 Phoenix Egg. Never mind. So you need 6 auto attacks to destroy level 1 Phoenix Egg. It still would have been doable if they went all in, but it is probably safe. It's just safer to walk away from the fight at that point.
Radiant
Oh, Zeus, if he dies, that could be a big kill. Laguna Blade dropping him pretty low. He's trying to run away, but the glimpse is going to send him back. The loving embrace of Keswa. In comes soft switch. TP attempt by the Zeus. But he gets blown up. That's a 6-kill streak picked up by Keswa. That's going to be a very happy Disruptor, getting a lot of money out of that kill. They're hunting for more. They're looking for that Shadow Shaman. The Lina is too fast, too furious. And together they manage to get themselves the kills in return in favor of KTS. Or Kakaya to Sueta. Which I'm very, very, very likely mispronouncing.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under
And the
attack.
tier 2 towards mid gonna be secured. Probably actually
Dire structures.
looking for it. They do have a lot of attack speed on their side. Especially that Lina with the Fiery Soul stacks. Which every spell that she casts increases her up till 3 stacks, of course. Increased movement speed by 8% per stack. Attack speed by 100 per stack. So in total you're pretty fast. And you're pretty fast. Yes, you're double fast. That's how fast you are. Actually triple fast technically. Let's see. Are they paying? Okay, so they do have that Philosopher's Stone onto the onto one of them. Trollwood sticking with the Possessed Mask for now. Could go for the Claw. Extra 26 extra auto attack damage is also a big plus. Might just go for some lifesteal himself as an item. Maybe Satanic later on. I would assume BKB is probably one of the more important items that he wants currently. Valentine on the Zeus also has a blink to try and get out of these engagements. But the Sand King Aghanim Scepter is going to be a big one. Gives his Burrow Strike an incredible range and also makes it so that everyone that he hits with it gets Caustic Finale debuff. And Caustic Finale debuff does an AoE damage around enemies if they die based on their HP. So if you kill off a hero that has 1000 HP and you have max level Caustic Finale, it would do 220 AoE damage around that person. On top of the fact that they already did 110 base damage. So if you hit that on multiple enemies at the same time, who have, let's say, Huskar has 2k. Let's round it up to 2k. That's already going to be 440, 550 AoE damage around him. Well, that could set up a chain effect, blowing up the next guy, and then you could have like explosions popping up in an engagement. And that's why the Aghanim Scepter on the Sand King is so incredibly powerful. I think the troll just bought his Basher. Yes, he did. Has the full Basher ready, being delivered as well. That's going to make him one happy camper. Because that is an item that pierces BKB and gives you a percentage-based chance to stun your opponents with an auto attack. Both teams, it's surprising Roshan hasn't been taken in the first 27 minutes. Because they definitely both have very good Roshan taking lineups. Speaking of which, Troll pops his ulti to make sure he doesn't die. And there's going to be the duel, but the Phoenix Egg dropped on the side. And that's a big issue. No one's taking down the Phoenix Egg. It's going to explode. Yes, it is. And they are gonna... Well, the Huskar's actually still alive. Huskar's going ham right now. And this is his timing. Looking for the Zeus. Will they be able to lock him down? They don't have Invis Detection on them. And the Zeus will be able to stay alive. But that engagement went a lot better than I initially expected with that Phoenix Egg being dropped in the middle of the fight. But if the Troll Warlord is distracted, they don't really have a way of killing off the Huskar, especially not when he pops his BKB. Sand King's Aghanim Scepter can now be bought out and delivered.
Phoenix has the Rod of Atos. Povochki Prinesi has the 8th Rod of Atos. Looking to flex on his opponents and hold them in place so that they are too far away from his Phoenix Egg. Lena's going to go for the Aghanim Scepter. Anyone have an Aghanim Shard this game? No, not yet. I don't think so, at least. No, no one in this game has an Aghanim Shard just yet.
A fitting bounty.
That Aghanim Shard of the Huskar is pretty insane, actually, especially in this game. Reducing healing and regen by 50%. Oh, Burrow Strike in. Disruptor in trouble, and he gets smacked into pieces. Valentine gets himself another kill. And another one. In the meantime, the troll is going to go for that BKB. Really needs it. The only issue is he actually needs something to deal with that Legion command, because he's going to get dueled every single fight just to keep the troll engaged in every obstacle, in every engagement event, in every duel between the two teams, every fight trying to catch him out. Soft Switch in trouble, being hunted by the Lina. There's going to be a jump coming through from the Huskar, and the Shadow Shaman is an easy target. Corey tried to go for the duel play there, but they didn't give him the opportunity to actually initiate that duel. They killed off the Shadow Shaman too quickly. Well, there's a smoke gang coming up from the Dire side. Come back up, getting aggressive. Might be a catchy onto the Snapfire. Has a Refresher Orb of all items. That's a very interesting first choice.
Mortimer, get away.
And Snapfire will get taken down. I do like this move from Valentine. He used the Nimbus on the high ground just to make sure that no enemies would rotate in and catch him off guard while they were taking down the Snapfire. So he was preemptively thinking, where are the rotations coming from? Drops the Nimbus on the high ground to make sure if they're coming this direction, they have to walk through that, and we know that they're coming in. Plus, he has a full Octarine core right now, so his cooldown on his Nimbus is only 33 seconds, which is very minimal. Oh, glimpse back onto the Troll. Corey trying to go for the duel. Epicenter Burrow, though. Legion Commander is dead, but they will lose the Sand King as well. The Phoenix Egg was dropped in the middle of the fight. Troll trying to get back. Lena actually bought back. But it's a 2-for-1 trade and a buyback forced out on the Lena. That's the enemy's mid laner using a very costly buyback so far. Well, Zeus talking to his opponent's mid laner. His dual partner in that middle lane. I have no idea what he said, but probably something like, sucker.
Eager to know Dire's whereabouts.
Refresher Orb next for the Zeus. Double ulti, double Nimbus, especially double Nimbus, really good. Troll Warlord does still have his 9-second BKB. That Roshan is definitely going to be pretty juicy for the Dire team to take. Huskar starting to fall behind. Lena would be a big kill if they managed to take her down, but she's just going to be able to outrun them. A very swifty lady. Fuel's up, but Burrow Strike is available. And he spots himself a Disrupt. He's going to go for it. So there is going to be the Disruptor taken down. Rotations too far away from the rest of KTS. In the meantime, Roshan is being taken by the Troll. That's going to be the Aegis on the Troll Warlord as well.
haste rune right in front of him, so he's going to be able to rejoin his teammates in no time. And Valentine is going to go for some counter warding action. But it all looks pretty spicy here for the come back up lineup. Especially considering the troll is going very deep. However, the Eul's is going to get rid of his haste. Pops the BKB. Troll ulti as well. Going very deep behind enemy lines. And that's the Legion Commander dead. Dead for 50 seconds. Looking for the Husker next. Refresher being used. Burrow Strike in. The Husker takes a lot of damage there. Phoenix Egg gets dropped in the middle of the fight as well. Maxi needs to be careful. Taken to the grave, and it's going to be the bash. The range bash from the Troll Warlord. Triple kill for Iraq Lobster. And with the fortification being popped, they're waiting a bit before they can go for the push and try and destroy the enemy's base. 90 seconds, no Lina, and that's a big issue for the Radiant side. They even dropped the Serpent Wards on towards the high ground to get that push continued on the side. That's an absolute disastrous destruction coming out. Burrow Strike holding the Husker in place. The Troll Warlord with the Fiery Soul, first 4 stacks going absolutely nutty. And that's going to be the mid-set racks being secured. They can't go for megas, but honestly they could just finish. They are completely destroying their opponents. They do have a buyback available. And there's going to be the Husker buying back. A lot of damage being dealt. The Troll Warlord needs to be careful, but does have that Aegis still available. Burst Rack onto 2. They're both stuck. The Shackle's holding in place. Corey. And that's going to be a double kill picked up. There's a buyback as well for Snapfire, but Husker is surrounded. His BKB just ended. He's going to get burrowed. He's in trouble. He's dead. That's a dieback. And that's probably going to be the base gone. The GG gets called by KTS. And that's going to mean that, if I'm not mistaken, come back up are 2-0 in the group stages. So should definitely be one of the 2 teams that goes forward. If I'm not mistaken, 6 teams. And the bottom one gets eliminated. But in general, a very, very good showing here from the side of comeback. Kakaya to Sueta. Kovic on that mid Lina looked pretty promising. The Husker as well. It's just unfortunately they couldn't get the ball rolling to get that Husker get a bit more aggressive in the game. Just the timing's not perfectly in sync. And they were up against an incredibly dangerous team fighting lineup by the side of Comeback Up. And Iraq Lobster on that Troll Warlord just fought. He had a very troubling laning stage, but once he got the farm, he completely started badgering them. The Zeus Valentine, perfect performance on that mid Zeus. Pretty much delayed the game and it was active on the map so much that the enemies were constantly busy trying to deal with all that Zeus nuke damage. That, of course, does mean that in Group A, we've got Comeback Up 2-0, KTS and their opponents in the next game, which are VBR, are both 0-0, so it's going to be, 0-1. So it's going to be a battle between those teams to see who's going to make it forward into the next stage. We'll be ready for that match after a short break.
Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you get away.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the
10 seconds.
pretty much final stages of the day. This is the deciding match. Loser of this engagement will be eliminated from the tournament. And, well, no one wants to lose the Veeam eSports tournament, so they're definitely going to try their best and their utmost to take home the bacon. Will they be able to get it done, though? On the Kakaya to Sueta side, they ban out 2 cores at the start, and VBR are going to make sure that they're not going to have to duel with another Beastmaster. And Buck is also a rather annoying hero to cope with. But they need to be careful because KTS did just play a little bit of a cheese draft with that Oscar, so you gotta be careful if they don't play any more. Warlock as a first pick, very heavy. 5 position support, doesn't really play anything else but that role. But a team fighting hero that also does a lot of healing towards his teammates.
10 seconds. 5 seconds left. Dyer's turn to pick.
And on the other side, it's going to be the Jakiro pickup. Okay, Jakiro is also a very good team fighting support.
10
Does have a
seconds.
little bit more flexibility in its roles. But a lot of damage again between these two sides so far. A lot of team fight control to duke it out with.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Witch Doctor.
And we add in a little Witch Doctor. Well, they did have a very good showing on the Witch Doctor in the first series. Though it wasn't enough to take home the bacon, but I think they played
10 seconds.
Witch Doctor position 4, rushed the Aghanim Scepter first, and then
5 seconds left.
started combating their
turn to
opponents
ban.
quickly. So I'll turn on
Ah!
some of the inherent Dota music. For a bit, Snapfire for KTS, another hero that they just ran with. Went for the Refresh Orb first item. But did definitely do a good job in his lane. So,
It's Dyer's
considering
turn.
that fact, I think all 4 supports have already been chosen by both these teams. And now you're just looking at a mid laner, off laner, and a safe laner for KTS or for VBR.
10 seconds. It's Radiant's ban now. Ten seconds. 5 seconds left. Dyer's turn to ban.
And there we go. The Mars and Queen of Pain getting banned out. Faces for it as well. A lot of safe laners have been taken out quite strongly.
Seconds
Makes
left.
sense. Especially like a Faceless Void that got pretty good team fight heroes.
Radiant's turn to ban.
You get a Snapfire with his Faceless Void combo. You throw their ultis in a row and you can have some disaster striking you.
Ten seconds. It's Dyer's ban now.
Let's see, the PA banned out as well. Yeah, there's not a lot of safe laners left. I mean, there definitely is a couple, a reasonable amount. You've got yourselves the PL, Troll Warlord, but the main ones have been pretty
10
much
seconds.
taken beyond the grave. But, you know,
5
Ursa,
seconds
Monkey
left.
King's definitely still enough to work with. From the heroes that are left in the pool that we saw in the previous game, I mean, that Lina mid was pretty dangerous as well. That Vovik played last game. Really did do a lot of work. So that's definitely something that you need to be rather careful of.
Dyer's turn to pick.
And there's the Troll Warlord ban. I mean, KTS just played against it, and they pretty much got destroyed once that Troll Warlord got the Battle Fury SNY. I think was
Radiant's
Basher
turn
then.
to pick.
And then it became too powerful. Axe pickup is a great hero combined with Jakiro and Witch Doctor.
Wraith King.
There's going to be the Wraith King on the other side. So you got a Wraith King Warlock lane, which actually does have quite a bit of an issue against an Axe Witch Doctor. A reasonable amount of pain coming out from that lane.
10 seconds.
If you summon skeletons, for instance, Axe throws out the call, then he has 4 Whirling
5
Axe
seconds
Counter
left.
Helix procs in a row. And then the Wraith King is just dead. Plus, Maldic, pretty hard to deal with. But the plus side is, once Wraith King hits that level 6, you know, you get that second life, so it's not too dangerous anymore. Especially that Maldic from the Witch Doctor. But until you get to that point, it's still, you know, Maldic hurts. Maldic really hurts.
Radiant pick.
And VBR
Spirit.
pick up the Storm Spirit. They did have to deal with, I think it was a Storm Spirit safe lane in the previous series, but I assume that they're just going to play Storm mid, Axe off, Witch Doctor 4, Jakiro 5, and then pick up a safe laner. That's pretty good against the Death Prophet or Wraith King. Death Prophet is a really dangerous hero as well in the Exorcism, a good pusher, Roshan capabilities, tower pusher, team fighter. Very much sustain on the hero as well with the Spirit Siphon. And the AoE silence can do wonders against the Storm Spirit. So I would say so far VBR have a stronger team fight currently.
Dyer's turn to ban.
But team fight doesn't always mean everything. Ban out the Monkey. Monkey would have been a really good pick against the Wraith King. I mean, there's still a bunch of heroes that you could pick up against the Wraith King.
It's Radiant's ban now.
PL would have been a glorious one. CK is actually a core that is also still very hard to deal with for the KTS side.
10 seconds.
I think... Wait, they banned PL on the side of VPR. I think PL would have been an absolute amazing pick for their team. There's nothing that KTS could have done unless this was an offlane Wraith King. That could have been the case. But PL would have actually finished up their own draft really well. And if the enemy picked up PL, Storm Spirit is a natural PL counter. Axe as well in the laning stage, a very good PL counter. And a good way to hold the PL in place later on with the Jakiro, Ice Bath, Macrobuyer that you can throw on top of your opponents. The Monkey King got banned out, and reserve time is ending for KTS, so they gotta make some choices quickly, or the time is completely gone.
Dyer's turn to ban.
A Ricky ban. Another hero that could have built a Diffusal Blade against a Wraith King. Solid heroes to still play. I think Terrorblade could... Terrorblade is a little bit dangerous against Snapfire, Warlock, and Death Prophet, though.
10 seconds.
Morphling?
5 seconds left. Dyer's
Ooh,
turn to
Slark
pick.
Band. They're gonna pick up the DOTA. Oh my god. DOTA is probably the strongest core in the game if you get to the late game. And that's a big surprise. So this is going to be an offlane Wraith King? Or is this a safe lane Wraith King, offlane Death Prophet, and a mid DOTA? That's also a possibility. A DOTA should... Well, Storm Spirit neither, but both of them shouldn't really die to the Storm Spirit that well, and that easily. Very tanky heroes. You're going to need a hard-hitting safe laner to deal with that. Could go Ursa? Possibly Morphling, but then you're gonna have to go full right-click morph. Problematic situation for VBR. Because that's a bit of cheese. Are they gonna counter it with their own cheese, or is this gonna be 3, 2, 1, and it is Weaver.
Choosing time.
Okay, so Weaver technically can deal with the DOTA. Weaver's got a lot of attack damage, but most of the time, if you want to do that, you're going to have to go Glass Cannon.
And Weaver used to be really good, but in the current patch it's very weak because he doesn't have unlocked movement speed anymore. When he uses his Shikuchi, which is his little invis spell where he runs around, he's now locked onto max movement speed, which is really a gigantic nerf to the hero since the last patch that came out a couple of weeks ago. All those things considered, I kind of have to go with KTS on my predictions just based off of draft. I think BBR in their first series looked pretty good, but I think KTR's draft, I mean, they've got very tanky. It's hard to kill anyone in their lineup except for the Warlock. And that's pretty much the one that the Storm Spirit's going to have to jump every single time if they want to win this. Oh, Storm Spirit 2014 is when he played the game. When he started playing the game. Well, in Group A, it's now VBR.
Prepare for battle.
That is going to be playing. They have a pretty solid lineup for their team. W Master is going to be playing that 4-position Witch Doctor with 5-position Jakiro. And that S44 Weaver. But it's going to be Dandy who's going to be wielding that mid Storm Spirit. Of course, probably a fan of Dandy, who we all know and love. And they are going to be up against KTS, who played with Vovik on that mid lane in the previous series as well. Lina, very solid. Lina rotated lots around the map, just not enough to win it, unfortunately. Corey in the house is going to be playing the offlane Wraith King this game. Maxi on again his Snapfire as he did in the previous showing. Keswa 5-position Warlock. And they've got the DOTA being played by, I really don't want to make a mistake in the pronunciation, Obnulator. And well, we are heading live into the game. A bit of a right-click battle between the Axe and the Warlock. And Warlock is actually in trouble here. Could have possibly died if he continued on with the Battle Hunger debuff. But he's going to make sure that he at least picks up the Bounty Rune himself. KTS on the Radiant side, VBR on the Dire side. And Corey rotates a little bit slower to that top lane. Wraithfire Blast onto the Jakiro, just to keep him at bay for the time being. A Magic Wand is a good choice from the Wraith King because he is up against a Weaver who tends to use Shikuchi a lot because it's only a 70 mana cost spell. But the thing with Weaver is it's also a natural Diffusal Blade builder. And Diffusal Blade is such a good item this game for the Dire team. Which is probably what they're looking for, get a Diffusal Blade. It counts the Wraith King. It's amazing against the Medusa as well, because Medusa is mainly, you know, a mana hero. But yeah, this lane is hard for the Axe to deal with. He can't really do too much against Medusa. Against a double ranged safe lane. If you're up against a double range safe lane, normally you want to go either range yourself, or you want to have like a double melee lane where you have, let's say, an Earth Spirit, for instance, to get on top of your opponents. It's a little bit tougher for them right now with a couple of levels on that Witch Doctor Maldic level 2. You probably can take him down if you get a good Axe call with a couple of procs. Well, Axe is harassing the Dusa pretty nicely though. In the meantime, the Warlock went for a quick pull of the creep camp. The reason why you pull is just so that you can drag the lane backwards. In the mid lane matchup, actually, Dandy having a pretty good showing so far. It's going to be the water rune that spawned in the river. And yeah, Vovik just draining away all that HP from Dandy. Easy as pie.
Corey, luckily the lane is very heavily pushed, otherwise might be in a little bit of trouble and a little bit of bother. Nerubian needs to pull the creep wave to make sure that the Wraith King is going to be in trouble most of the time. That's pretty much what they're looking for. Just constantly get the lane close towards their own tower. It's actually going for the Maelstrom on the Weaver. First item. A little bit of a different choice than I would have expected. Maelstrom, the big difference between Maelstrom and Diffusal is really good for fighting. Maelstrom is really good for farming. So that's why he wants to go Maelstrom first item, because it gives him better farming capabilities. And also, if you get the Javelin early in the lane, you can really bully out a Wraith King very easily by getting those Geminate attack procs.
Examination.
That Storm Spirit's having a pretty good lane. 26 last hits. I think he must have killed some jungle creeps every once in a while to get to that point. He's level 5. And once he gets level 6, he can rotate easily to get kills. In the meantime, Maxi's first blooded top lane by Nerubian and S44, but Nerubian does get the kill, so that's going to be a very happy camper Jakiro. The thing is with the DOTA needs a lot of farm to be effective. So you're constantly going to be trying to make plays with your team, but well, you pretty much have to make plays with your team while the DOTA AFK farms the jungle. And gets to a point where eventually they shouldn't be able to kill him anymore. But the problem is they're getting pretty good farm. That could be hard to deal with. Mid lane, actually pretty close in farm against each other. Once that Death Prophet gets level 6, can take the tower. Does need to be careful, of course, for the Storm Zip into Electric Vortex. But he doesn't actually have a point in Electric Vortex. So doesn't actually have the capabilities really to kill off the Death Prophet until he gets that EV point. Nerubian trying to go for the bounty room pickup, but they spawn every 3 minutes and not every 5 minutes anymore. So he spots out there's nothing there. Might still be on the previous timer of the last batch. I also have, it takes some time for me to get used to, because right now in 15 seconds they actually spawn. And the Javelin is done on the Weaver, it seems, being delivered. Yes, indeed. That Weaver is going to do a lot more damage in the laning stage. You need to be careful that you don't get hit by Geminate attack.
Good, bad. I work with what I got, Ostarian. Better not.
So, it's looking pretty good here for... Oh.
Mine.
For the side of VBR. Don't know why slightly moved there. Sorry, I must have misclicked something. But the Medusa also still having a pretty good lane. Again, there's not too much that they can really do against the DOTA. Unless they make a big mistake. Ice Bath onto the Snapfire. Going for the Wraith King. That's going to be his life gone. Right click proc. Oh, that's the Geminate attack hit. And there's Corey taken down. Another kill for the top laner. Top lane of VBR in the meantime. Axe. Bottom lane. Does have a ring of health. So he's got pretty good HP regen. Especially standing next to the tower. But he needs a lot more than just a bit of HP regen to be able to sustain that lane.
Radiant's top tower ain't looking too steady.
Oh, sweet.
farming just continues. Dandy's going to go for the Orchid Rush. Once he has the Orchid, he probably is going to go for some team fights. It's really just all out on farming. Doesn't really want to have any fights or engagements just yet. That's why he now just finally leveled Electric Vortex. So that if any of his teammates get attacked, he could TP in, fly in, and possibly get a kill. But he is half a level ahead of his opponent. Not so much, well, he is ahead of that DOTA, but the DOTA is looking mighty fine. Considering he's second in net worth and Axe just barely can do anything in the lane. Even though the Axe is still getting decent farm. But he can't stop this farming DOTA at all unless he gets an extra rotation coming through.
Tower is under attack.
So I think it's about time for this Storm Spirit to start ganking. Especially there's a regen rune top. So we can easily go for rotation. Score, not level 6 yet. That should be an easy kill. The Weaver is getting close to his level, his Mithril Hammer. And that should be the Maelstrom then done. And yeah, then you're looking at a perfect time to start killing off the DOTA.
Denied! Stupendous!
Maxi. Cookie Sun comes out. Maxi on the run. Is he going to be able to get back? Shotgun Blast is not going to do much because he is no more. And it's a 2k net with lead now for the Dire side. With a big fight bottom lane. DOTA actually went very deep here. Witch Doctor trying to stay alive but will lose his life to the Death Prophet. And it is luckily enough the DOTA surviving through all that damage and all that fight. The kills do favor the Dire side of VBR. And Dandy on that Storm is very close to finishing up his Orchid as well. DOTA's going for the Maelstrom as well, himself, but Weaver's done with his. That one has now been delivered. Namiti is looking to deal some damage, wants to get some of those nice little lightning procs. And Maxi, he feels those lightning procs. S44 going deep. The problem is he's silenced, so he can't time-lapse. And Vovik, with a great TP, finishes off S44. And that's the Weaver no more.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is not feeling the love.
The Weaver did get taken down. Dandy's Orchid is almost finished, but I really do think that Medusa is still in a perfect situation. The only big difference between the two teams' net worth is the fact that Keswa on that Warlock is incredibly poor because he's been just constantly supporting his DOTA safely.
Dire's top tower is about to be Radiant's top troubles.
And Weaver being hunted. Does need to be careful. That silence could be the end of him. Stun comes out. Hit him with the silence. Weaver Kanshikuchi is very close to dying, but oh my lord, he just barely manages to escape. And Shikuchi back to safety. That was a little bit too close for comfort there.
Dire's bottom tower is getting pushed around. Bounty.
Zip in, going for the DOTA. Orchid Silence comes up so that he can't pop his ulti, but there's the Warlock Golem drop. The dunk, however, takes him down already, and now the Warlock is on the run. The Golem is trying to be a nuisance, but they can actually easily farm up that Golem for an extra $100. Paralyzing Cask, is it going to be in range? We'll get the stun thrown out, but it's not going to result into anything. And actually, W. Massa needs to be careful himself because the Warlock Golem does a lot of damage. Luckily enough, it is too far away to really do too much there. And you'll just use that Warlock Golem for a little bit of extra gold farm by taking out the enemy's tri-stack jungle creeps. Axe slowed down. Will he be able to run away? There's no Wraithfire Blast for quite some time, so Rocky Rocano will be able to easily disengage. In the meantime, Maxi top lane is not going to be so lucky. S44 goes underneath the tower, gets the kills, going for the Yashes, going actually for the old Weaver build, the bootsless build, which, oh yeah, you get your items a lot faster that way. But of course, if you don't have Scoochie up, it does mean that you are easily catchable.
Radiant's structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower's under attack.
Storm, Bloodstone immediately afterwards, okay. But with the Invis Death Prophet going bottom lane, Exorcism available as well. Gonna go in, Axe. Yeah, they're gonna get themselves a double kill. With a big rotation coming through. Rocky Rocanu TP's out. Weaver actually TP's in. That's 44. They know exactly where he is, but he does need to be careful because he could easily die. The entirety of the Radiant team is here to take the tier 1, and they will be able to secure it in their favor. And that's almost the Yule Scepter complete as well. So both safe lanes have taken the enemy's tower. Towards mid, it is going to be the Death Prophet's tower that is gone. So that opens up this part of the map a little bit more. Not too much. It's not the greatest piece of the map to try and open up. But Medusa now with the Maelstrom will be able to farm up a little bit faster. Does also have split shot. So in general, it tends to be a very fast farming hero regardless.
Stupendous.
And now with Maelstrom, even faster he goes. She goes, sorry.
Radiant's bottom tower needs a hand.
Towards that bottom lane, looking for the DOTA. This could be a big catch. Axe doesn't have Blink yet, but we'll be able to get close. Death Prophet, Witch Doctor, if he gets a Maledict plus Death Ward on top of the DOTA, they can easily take down the Serpent Lady. And she's in a bit of a pickle now. Doesn't pop her ulti just yet. There's going to be the Death Ward, Maledict, everything, and that's a dead DOTA. Dunk in. Kill secured. And, well, they need to keep that DOTA alive on the side of KTS. SNY actually for the Weaver, okay. So SNY gives you status resistance passively, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only item that normally gives you. I mean, there's one more, but that's the Aeon Disc, and that's a proc. Status resistance, except for Heaven's Halberd, is only, yeah, it's just in general achieved by the Sange in this game, and that's why it's such a value item, because status resistance is really, really powerful to deal with stuns and whatnot.
to make sure that the enemy doesn't get the full stun lock in. There's going to be a zip out from Dandy. The silence from Vovik just not in the nick of time, but they will secure the tier 1 tower towards mid. Death Prophet Exorcism in combination with the the Wraith Kings from Pyrrhic Spirit, Skeleton Summoning, and even the Snapfire's little shredder reduces armor of structures, so they can do a lot of damage. The problem is there are no creeps here just yet, so they couldn't do any damage because there's backdoor protection in the game. That means if there aren't any creeps over a certain area, I think it's about there, then the tower has backdoor protection, which means it recovers the damage that you deal to it. Unless you have a ton of damage, which at this stage of the game you should not be at the point where you can break through backdoor protection.
Radiant's top tower ain't looking too steady.
New treasures.
Radiant's top tower's under attack. Here now.
And he's still top of the board. Vovik not too far off. The problem is, of course, that the Weaver is also getting pretty fat, and they are 4k ahead, which most certainly is the difference between the Wraith King and the Axe. Axe has gone for a pretty tanky sustain build. Wraith King is going for more of a fighting build, going for the Bastion next after his Blink Dagger. There's going to be a zip in, control onto Maxi. Vovik gets a nice AoE silence. Does Spirit Siphon everyone dry. Warlock Golem gets dropped as well. Fatal Bonds, a lot of damage being dealt here. And they're looking for more. But that, as I said, the Axe has a lot of sustain items. He's actually going to taunt the Death Prophet to keep him at bay. Drags him out of the Witch Doctor's range, though. But that Axe is, should eventually die. Actually has his Call available, which gives him more armor. And he's going to be just fine with the Weaver rotating in. So a lot of damage dealt, but not too much being sustained. The Warlock in trouble next. That cast bound from W Master. Perfect between the Golem and the opponent. Warlock, nothing he could do. Almost a perma stun.
I'm in your debt.
I am in your debt, as they say. Weaver SMY. What's his next item going to be? Probably something along the lines of like an MKB, maybe. Just, maybe even Dailish. Just pure damage. What he's going to go for, I would assume. Dragonlance could actually also be good, so that he can stay out of range of the DOTA in case it's necessary. Okay, he's going for the BKB. That's definitely a fighting item. They have a couple of tools against BKB, though. They've got themselves the Warlock Golem drop. You've got the DOTA Stone Gaze, which is still pretty annoying. Death Prophet Exorcism as well. So it's not a clear fire way to win every fight, but it at least gets rid of stuff like the Fatal Bonds. It gets rid of the everything from the Snapfire, pretty much. So, bottom lane DOTA is going to quickly get caught out. And killing spree for S44. The DOTA in trouble. Weaver's actually going for the Diffusal Blade. Okay. That's an item pickup I definitely like. The Wraith King is nowhere near building the Aghanim Shard. You drain his mana, he's done for every single time. It's perfect against the Weaver. Against the DOTA. And this Diffusal Blade pickup is definitely going to be a big problem for KTS. Oh, that's a big silence from Death Prophet. Wraith King jumping in, but there's the Axe Call in return to control up the Death Prophet. Wraith King dropping low, losing his first life. Death Prophet does not get himself out of there. Didn't have the Yules. Well, did have the Yules, but didn't use himself up, unfortunately. They are looking for more, though, and a lot of damage being dealt. The 2-for-3 trade. The Weaver is still very tanky. Wraith King's first life has already been foregone, and that's his second life finished up as well. Sipped by the Storm Spirit to the side. He's going to try and run away from the DOTA, but the DOTA won't. Well, we'll now try to finish him off. Does he get the kill? No, he does not. The procs do not favor the DOTA in this situation, and the Stone Spirit does manage to get away. So there are two things during Stone Gaze that happen. Three things, actually. Everyone that looks at you for a duration of time gets turned into stone. If they look at you for 2 seconds, they turn into stone for 3 seconds. Which is very annoying. But it also increases the movement speed by 50%. And her physical damage from her auto attacks by 45%. So while you're stone gazing, you should try and focus to right click your opponents down. In that case, you know, you pop your ulti, you just either you try to block their vision so they all get stunned, but the better thing is to just run after them and hit them with the split shot the entire time, because it does so much damage. And even though the DOTA is falling a little bit behind, he's still in an A-OK spot. Only a 5k net worth lead for VBR. It's definitely able to be overcome for this KTS lineup, if the DOTA can continue to find farm. And that's the thing, he needs to find farm, so needs to make sure that the entire jungle doesn't get completely emptied out. Zip from the storm, catch onto the Warlock, and it is a Warlock. We all know it. Warlocks do not have a very big life expectancy in this game. That's why they also have a level 20 talent called Summons that summons a golem on death, which is so much value, because you almost always die. DOTA getting close to the Manta style. Death Prophet's got the PKB Yules. Now he's definitely gonna... It's gonna take some time to kill off this pesky Death Prophet if he pops the BKB and Yules on time. Basher almost finished up on the Wraith King. Snapfire, I think, is going for the Refresh Orb again. And Warlock, he's going for the Aether Lens. He could break open a few... Right-click Arcane Boots, you can split them into 2 pieces, then you can get yourselves that energy booster and use that energy booster to finish up the Aether Lens. Makes it so that you don't have to spend that $800 to get that Aether Lens. Because at one point Mana Boots is like nice, but you'd rather have the Aether Lens over Mana Boots anyway. And the faster the better, but they're trying to bait in this dire team. They're all behind the tower. This is a very big bait attempt coming out from KTS. Will they pounce though? DOTA actually needs to be a little bit more forward. Just stand there so that they dive underneath the tower and then they can all pounce in. But that's the big thing. He should not stand there. He shouldn't play too far back. Just stand underneath the tower to try and make it look like he is out of position. Problem is they do have a ward behind enemy lines, so they do know that something's up. Especially now that they're gonna see all of the the Radiant heroes walk around. This is actually a very heads-up ward.
Middle tower is under attack.
Gives them so much information. This one as well. Like, VBR have complete vision over the enemy's jungle. They know everything that's going on. Now it's gonna get counter-warded. They've got counter wards themselves all over the place. Dandy. TP out. Warlock might have been able to have that stun of the Chaotic Offering in time, but, you know, you need a full stun lock to get rid of the Storm Spirit. Axe, Blink, Pipe, Vanguard is one tanky boy.
Tower is under attack.
Haste lays waste.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
The Weaver, oh my lord, Diffusal Blade done. Next item, Daedalus. Well, Daedalus is a superb heavy damage item. And the Weaver is already doing a lot of damage.
So yeah, he should be able to shred them apart pretty easily. DOTA has enough money for the Manta style. Might be keeping some extra money to go for a buyback at the same time. But they are 10k net worth ahead, and they're just out farming their opponents at this base. Storm Spirit even went for the BKB before finishing up the Bloodstone.
Radiant's middle tower's not feeling the love.
Storm Spirit will be able to get himself a nice regen rune. Nice call being made by the Weaver to give intel to a Storm that regen is to be picked up. Definitely a lot more value on a Storm than pretty much anyone else in the game. Maybe a Tinker. That's still more value on a Storm, regardless.
Looking for me?
Zip in. Dandy. Was looking for a possible catch.
Dire scanning for enemies.
And they're going to smoke up on the side of KTS. Kayato Sweta. DOTA Manta style. Just needs the recipe to be delivered. Does have buyback available. But they are being flanked in the meantime. From behind, there's another smoke action coming through. The offlane is spotting each other out. The Weaver running in, however getting stunned. But there's the big zip. Going for the DOTA. DOTA pops his stone gaze in time. And everyone's going to get stoned if they're not careful. But look at that damage coming out. Storm Spirit in trouble. That Warlock Golem drop did a lot of work there to keep them at bay. They're going to get themselves 1, 2 kills. Actually, almost 3. Death Prophet does manage to go big in the engagement. 4-for-1 trade. The only one left standing is S44. Will manage to get himself a double kill in the fight, but needs to Shikuchi out of there. Otherwise, he's in a world of hurt. Will get used up, and there's even going to be the silence available. Shikuchi's about to end. Will nonetheless be able to run the opposite direction. And actually going back in onto the Death Prophet. Cookie Sun not going to connect, but he out heals it almost. Weaver, time lapse. Gonna turn his attention to the Snapfire, and he crushes Snapfire quickly. Death Prophet on the retreat. Does have the Yule Scepter against the Weaver. But this is problematic, especially considering the Weaver is still continuing on with the charge. Spirit Siphon draining him at the moment. S44 being juked at the moment by the Death Prophet, but that's a dead Warlock. That is one definitely dead Warlock. Monster kill for the Weaver and a complete tear. Has his SNY backpack instead of the Iron Badge. But yeah, you can see the fight actually went really well in favor of KTS. But the problem is that Weaver, they don't have enough, they need to chain stun the Weaver in the fight. There's the Axe Call, DOTA in trouble, and he's just shredded into pieces in seconds. Tear him apart. Death Prophet himself needs to be careful. Godlike streak for S44, and this Weaver is completely out of control. Axe Call does manage to get himself 2, but the problem is he's taking a lot of damage in return. And Corey is going pretty aggressive. Does have the blink, but not going for a Hail Mary. Lincoln Sphere next. Not a lot of single target spells though on the Radiant side. Like possibly Fatal Bonds or Shadow Word. Okay, the Wraithfire Blast is pretty annoying. Spirit Siphon, Yules, maybe. But not the greatest single target spells. Is anyone... Let's see. Storm Spirit has the Mindbreaker? Huh.
Normally you'd put that on the Weaver because he's got that big attack speed. Enchanted Quiver also still an availability, but the Weaver does have evasion now thanks to the Elven Tunic. Which is of course a big plus. They are missing who in their team is...
Radiant's bottom tower needs a hand.
Oh, Jakiro doesn't have an item yet. Should probably get the Philosopher's Stone at that point. Axe should most likely be able, most likely get the Spider Legs to be as viable, but there's going to be a jump coming in. Axe go on to 3. Dusa ulti though, they're getting stoned. They need to be careful. Don't look at the ugly Dusa. Warlock Golem gets dropped. A lot of damage. Nerubian in trouble. Use himself up to try and stay alive. But there's so much damage coming out from the team fight. They get themselves a 3-for-1 trade. The Weaver in the meantime trying to go for the backline onto the Warlock. They dust him up. He does still have a time lapse available. They will TP the Deuce away, but it's another 3-for-1 fight, and that's mainly because there aren't any BKBs ready on the Dire team.
Stupendous.
How did he die? Oh, he was still there. Yeah, they just get completely shredded by the more Fatal Bonds in combination with Warlock Golem drop, the Exorcism, the Stone Gaze, right-click damage from the Deuce. It's a lot to deal with. Deuce, the next item, Ayascati. Extra sustainability, but the most important thing is it's a lot of strength, it's a lot of agility, and it's a lot of int as well. And surprisingly enough, for a magic damage hero, for a physical damage agility hero, he does love to get some intelligence as well, because that means he would be able to get higher mana pool, which is great because he gets pretty much a shield for every mana that he has.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
And Weaver's trying to solo Roche, which Vovik is gonna scout out. And yeah, Roche is almost dead, but this is very close to being almost finished. Roche just gets taken down, and right in front of their noses, it's going to be the Aegis for the Weaver. And the Weaver is going to be definitely in a very big, fortuitous position currently. Because what can you do against this Weaver? You already have troubles killing him once, even though he's not necessarily the tankiest, but he is going to build up the butterfly, which is going to make it even more troublesome. Is level 26. Quickly, just in comparison, going to open up the level menu. 26, level 23 Storm Spirit, then the next one is level 20 Death Prophet. This Weaver is on the hard carry mode.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
That's fun. Oh, Wraith King needs to be careful though. Doesn't have the Aghanim Shard, surprisingly enough. Though I think he actually dies before his mana gets drained from the Diffusal Blade. The rest of VBR rotating in. I mean, Weaver can be aggressive because... Oh, it's a Weaver. He's got himself an Aegis as well. There's going to be the Axe. Call on to 2. Macropire. Ice Path control is there. Weaver tries to go for the right clicks. One skill off the Death Prophet. Dusa ulti comes out, but they already lost 2. They will have that reincarnating Wraith King, but a double viper coming out from the side of KTS. A great AoE silence coming out. Fatal Bond's doing a lot of damage. Warlock Golem getting dropped. They're taking so much. And they're all dropping like flies. S44 will lose his first life. W Master with the stun coming out. But this is S44. If he dies, it could be big. But S44 should be able to sprint to safety. Actually, he's turning it around. Death Prophet's dead. Gonna look to kill off that Warlock Golem. And the rest don't have the lockdown to kill off the Weaver. But it did cost him a double buyback, and it is going to cost them a dieback onto that Death Prophet as well. But again, you can see here the Warlock. Fatal Bonds plus Warlock Golem is so much damage that he dealt. 4k damage. Death Prophet Exorcism on top. You've got the Mortimer's Kiss. Actually, I don't think he probably did use it. He had a refresher as well. So there's so much damage to come out from all of them
honestly. Whereas on the dire side, it's Storm Spirit's also doing a lot of work, but it's mainly that Weaver just going completely nuts. Next side, Gleipnir on the Storm. I like it, especially if you get the Aghanim Scepter. Gleipnir is a new item in the game, which gives you AoE Rod of Atos, pretty much. That also does damage.
Illusion.
So it is pretty nutty. DOTA, full Hurricane Pike, extra attack range. Also the added Force Staff ability from it's always a big plus. And has the leveler, so it gets 50 attack speed. Plus 5 armor as well. Well, armor is definitely always a plus because you are up against a Weaver that is mainly just physical damage. There's a double damage in the river. If the Weaver picks that up, I mean, he's got the mana break talent now as well. Once he hits level 30, you've got yourselves 2 Shikuchi charges. You've got plus 3 swarm attacks to kill, which is even more problematic. And if he gets the Aghanim Shard, at that point, yeah. The thing is, I don't think most of these players know exactly what their shards do. Actually, Counter Helix. Oh, procs. Yeah, his attacks give him a chance to proc Counter Helix. So is he the only one that has bought a Aghanim Shard this game? I think, yeah, he's the only one that bought Aghanim Shard this game. So there are a lot of Aghanim Shards in Dota that are really valuable. For instance, the Weaver's one makes it so that his swarm, his creeps that he sends out, give invis detection as well. Plus, everyone that's hit with swarm will get split shot against them. So if he attacks, for instance, the Wraith King, it would also hit the Warlock and the Death Prophet if they had it on top of them. Which is just AoE attack, pretty much just like the DOTA does with split shot. To annihilate their opponents. You also have the Warlock's one, which is superb. Turns the Shadow Word spell into an AoE spell. Grants movement speed increase for allies and slow for enemies, but everyone in that circle gets hit with an HP debuff or a gain buff or a debuff. Fatal Bone's coming out. There's going to be silence onto a couple. Warlock Golem gets dropped, but a great Ice Bath from the Rubian with the Macropyre as well. They're going in. That's going to be the axe taken down. The Witch Doctor is in trouble as well. Jakiro, Fatal Bonds is just tearing them apart currently. And there is going to be the Wraith. Oh my god, Death Prophet gets annihilated. Weaver comes in a little bit late to the fight. Time lapse. Needs to be careful. Storm Spirit, same thing because he's running out of mana. The Weaver is now at level 29, so he gets swarm attacks to kill. And he becomes pretty damn impossible to deal with. Luckily enough, they constantly keep finding these fights where the Warlock Golem can come out and they can shred their opponents apart with all their ultis. But the biggest issue in the situation currently is that the Weaver doesn't have to wait. Like, they can only do that when they have their ultis. Now they don't have their ultis, so it's really hard to fight. And Weaver knows it. Like, this is the perfect time. The problem is, of course, his entire team's dead, but if they're not all dead, then he can just finish up high ground and he two-shots nearly everyone. But Warlock is now level 20, so summons a Golem on death. That's such a good one. He's going for the Refresh Orb as well. They're going to have so much damage to throw out in a teamfight engagement. Once he has that done. And locked and loaded. At the moment, the Warlock of Kesua, with just mainly that Philosopher's Stone the entire game, has overtaken, is pretty much the same net worth as his offlaner Corey. This is a 5-position Warlock, by the way. The dire side, they still don't have Jakiro with a neutral item.
So, and just in general, the Witch Doctor needs to upgrade his neutral item. They need to grab the Philosopher's Stone onto the Jakiro. These are actually, they probably can get the Timeless Relic on it. Actually, Storm Spirit probably needs the Timeless Relic. Yeah, Storm Spirit definitely needs the Timeless Relic. Illusion Escape would be very good on the Weaver as well. Just a couple of things, and Vovik gets caught out. That is no Death Prophet for a minute and a half at least, because he does have a buyback at that point, but the problem is he is dead. Roshan might be up in 5 seconds, could be a little bit longer as well. And looking to take down the tier 3 tower. It's gonna drop. I mean, they don't have the Death Prophet for quite some time, and they're missing out heavily there. Mortimer's Kiss is flying out just to keep them at bay. He has a refresher shard, refresher orb anyway, so he has a second Mortimer's Kisses. So that first one is just like a bait to keep them, you know, occupied. Make sure that they don't destroy their entire base. 30 seconds until it respawns. Top lane, the Weaver's going in onto the Wraith King. It's going to cost him his first life. Warlock Golem gets dropped. Weaver is going to be able to get back, but there's the drag coming in. The Wraith King losing his life slowly but surely. DOTA ulti keeping the axe at bay, but the death... Oh no, Witch Doctor, he gets stunned up in the middle of his death ward because he was looking at the DOTA while she was stone gazed. However, DOTA is now being torn apart. No buyback available. And a godlike, beyond godlike streak continuing for the Weaver. 18-1 and 10. And there is honestly not much they can get done without their ultis, without anything on their side. It's just going to be megas, and to be fair, most likely going to be the entire game secured. For the side of VBR, and there's the... Wrong team calling the GG.
Radiant's middle tower's not feeling the love.
It's not over until the Ancient falls, buddy. Or unless you GG out, but they haven't just yet. And now the GG call has been made by the Radiant side. That means KTS is going to be eliminated from the Veeam eSports Dota 2 tournament. They are going to just throw out their last little hurrah. Buyback on the Warlock, but the dunk comes in. The Warlock, the Electric AoE Vortex comes through, and they all just get shredded to pieces. While their Ancient is being mauled down.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Even the Death Ward in the fountain, just to go for the fountain dive. The BM. The finishing job, the finishing touches, but VBR managed to continue on towards the playoffs, which of course will be played tomorrow. And that means that, well, a great performance from both these teams. Unfortunately, that Weaver was just out of control. Let's see, what's his damage like? 57k damage dealt in this game, and compared to the rest, yes, completely destroyed them. That means that VBR will be going on towards the playoffs, but KTS, as you can see here, great job, especially the first series that they had where they played with a Huskar safe lane and the Lina mid. Had a really good performance. Vovik played really well, I would have to say. Looked impressive on both the Lina and the Death Prophet, but it just wasn't enough to deal with this dangerous and troublesome team. VBR Dandy on that mid Storm Spirit, but mainly that Weaver doing a lot of work. Also the Witch Doctor and the Jakiro chiming in, and the Axe had a terrible lane to deal with, but he managed to hold strong, and eventually Rokanu even ended the game at 9-6. While his lane was, well, we could all see it, completely disaster. But of course, that does conclude the series for today. We'll be back tomorrow for some more DOTA action in the Veeam Dota 2 tournament.
My name is DK Truman. I was your caster for the evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away. Never gonna let you, never gonna let you get away.
Bye.